I'm Lone, and welcome back to Steam Visual Novel Fest, our wonderful festival of visual novels. Again, we're going back in time to 2016 for a game called Buried. I was actually struggling a little bit to find some stuff to play for the last couple of days. There's so much anime stuff, and a lot of the anime visual novels kind of scare me. This game doesn't really have a title screen, so it's just belting out sentence after sentence, which is awesome. So yeah, we're gonna play Buried. It was actually recommended to me by Mary. Thank you so much for the recommendation. So then I don't have to go searching for weird shit to play. I open my eyes, and the first thing I want to do is scream. Oh shit, that's just like today. Oh no. I'm flat on my back, and everything seems to hurt. The trees overhead look familiar. It's a clear night sky, almost beautiful. Except for the fact that this means that I've been out in the cold for the last 6 hours. But there's something wrong. I don't remember, but something happened in my head. God, my head hurts. And a ringing in my ears. Was there an accident? An explosion? I think. I remember Dennis screaming, but after that I can't remember. I sit up and notice that my hard hat has been thrown off. Oh, so he's like at work or something? And there was a work accident. I look around the area, but it's not here. It feels strange to go anywhere without my hard hat, but I've got to find the other members of the crew. They could be in danger. Forget the hat and search for the crew? Search for your hard hat. Safety first, my friend. I get up on shaky legs and look around for a moment. A few nearby trees look as they have been splintered and broken at the base recently. They certainly weren't like this earlier. Searching for the hard hat feels normal. Makes me feel like maybe there isn't something wrong here. I see it behind a fallen log, about 10 feet away from me. Or maybe they're like lumberjacks or something, I don't know. How was it thrown so far beyond me? Driven by nothing more than habit, I walk over to it, pick it up, place it on my head. Next, I walk over to the center of the logging site, and I don't like what I see. Oh no! It broke a bridge or something. Yeah, overturned. The logging site looks like a bomb detonated right at the center. I don't know where to start. One load we managed to stack on the truck for the day is overturned. The trailer bent and the logs hanging off the back. Where the hell is everyone? My head's killing me and this ringing in my ears. I just can't hear anything. I can't hear birds or my footsteps. Just nothing. It makes me wonder if I hit my head after the hard hat flew off. I run through a quick mental checklist to make sure my brain's still working. Hi, my name is Roger Hastings. I'm 41 years old. The year is 2017. I own a small logging company, and we've been they are loggers, lumberjacks, logging in this strip of Kentucky woodland for almost a month now. Okay, so my brain works. That's a relief. But it also makes me fearful because something is certainly not right here. I look around the logging site, my mind trying to figure out what has happened. Just about every piece of equipment has been overturned or tilted. Look at Deborah. There are bits of Deborah everywhere. There are fragments of a 5-gallon bucket I keep our work rags in, and a loose saw chain. Chainsaw? Saw chain? Well, yeah, maybe the chainsaw has a saw chain. An overturned gas canister. Had there been an explosion? All the fuel on site had started the fire, but there was no charring, no burning, just nothing. I walked through the area where Dennis had been working. From the looks of it, he'd been moving slowly. He'd only taken down 4 trees today. His metal lunchbox was open, an indicator that he'd been taking an early break, but he's not here. No one's here. Where the hell is everyone? I could try to make a call on my cell phone, but its battery's running really low. Not that it matters, the reception is crap out here. Just yell out. Yeah, forget the cell phone. Hey guys, where's everyone? Tony? Dennis? Frank? Joe? It's a list of the most lumberjack names in the world. But their names fell flat amongst the wreckage. I get nothing back other than scaring away a few birds overhead. Might as well start walking, try to find some answers. The highway is almost a mile back through the woods, down the gravel road we used to reach the site. Maybe the crew ran that way for help. But why would they have left me? Were they scared? Out of sorts? Maybe I can catch up to them. But with the truck turned over on its side, looks like I'll be walking. My God, I can't even remember what I was doing before, waking up on my back. Wait, what's that underneath the bulldozer? Oh my God, it's a fucking leg. It has to either be Tony's or Dennis's. Oh no! Identified leg. The dozer looks unstable, like it might roll over some more. Might not be safe to get close, but at the same time, I just can't leave him there. We have our safety hat. We can go look. It won't crush our head. Hey! Is your leg okay? Are you alive? Holding onto my hat, I skip over the wrecked equipment and stray logs to get closer. I can see a bit more of the leg. The jeans are soaked in blood. I recognize the work boots. It's clearly Tony. His leg bent at an impossible angle, nearly crushed flat. God, the closer I get, the more apparent it becomes that Tony didn't survive. Leave the body alone or pull the body out? I'm not gonna pull his leg. His leg's gonna come off. Pull the leg. Pull the body out. I try to pull him out, but he's not budging. That's when I see blood coating the ground under him. It's thick and fresh, so dark on the dirt that it looks black. As I'm tugging, I hear something crunch, but somehow I manage to pull him out. His leg is absolutely crushed, and his stomach looks deflated. Blood is covering everything from the navel down. His face was turned to the right when he was crushed. It looks like a broken plastic mask, seeping with blood and bits of shattered skull. Oh my God, I can't believe this. I have to turn away. That's when I hear a deafening creaking noise, and I'm bashed in the head from behind as the bulldozer shifts lower to the ground. Yeah, we got our hard hat on though, motherfucker, so we're okay. I roll clear and end up on my back. My eyes struggle to focus. I'm a little shaken up, but I'm fine. Thank God I was wearing my hard hat. Do we have a save? Send us your feedback, reset game, newsletters. No saves. It did say at the very beginning that you just play through one shot. There's no waiting. There's no pausing. So yeah, whatever we do is what we're going to be doing in this visual novel. So yeah, no takes backsies. I can't stay here. I have to find Dennis, Frank, and Joe. I have to find out what happened here. Logs! Oh my God, that one looks a little shifty to me. It's gonna come after us. Hit us in the head. As I walk through the stack of logs from last week or so of work, everything feels frozen. This high-pitched sound in my ears. It's terrible. He has tinnitus. It keeps happening every few seconds. Sounds like it's coming from far away. Or maybe not. Maybe it's a radio signal that he's picking up with his newfound powers from getting hit in the head. I'm writing my own visual novel now. Hell yeah. Actually, that sounds like it could become a thing maybe. I can't help but wonder, is it my ear or is it something else? Or is it my ears or something else? The silence out here is creepy, and there's a smell like atmosphere after a bad summer storm. You know that smell. I might as well admit it. I'm a little scared. Well, no shit. Dennis was flattened. His stomach deflated and his head was cracked open. That's pretty scary. And then you got hit in the head again. Everyone's missing, and it's dead quiet out here. There doesn't even seem to be a breeze to rustle the leaves and branches. My right knee hurts like hell. My head was hurting so bad that I never even noticed the pain in my knee. I must have heard it during the what? Accident? Or, wait, is that Dennis? I see him sitting on the ground motionless about 30 feet away. Yell out? Dennis? I yell, Dennis, can you hear me? Dennis lets out a shout like someone waking from a nightmare. He looks back at me from the ground. Yeah, Roger, I hear you. He hollers back as I head over to him. Dennis is built like a wrestler and has a tough personality to match. But in this moment, he looks disorientated and even a little anxious. Though I'm glad to see him, the fear on his usually confident face is alarming. God, what the hell is happening? What's going on? He asks. Explosion, but there's no charred remains, so I don't know. Crew's missing. Oh, Dennis isn't the one who died. It was Tony who died, right? I'm getting the name. They're just such simple names. I get them all mixed up. Missing, Dennis says. Where do you think they went? I'm not sure, I say. But it has me pretty freaked out. Something's not right here. Still sitting on the ground, he looks around the woods as if he just now is understanding the severity of the situation. All right, the equipment was overturned. The dozers too, I say, shifting my hard hat and wiping my forehead. Are you okay? Yeah, just a bit shaken up. Yeah, me too. This might be the most intimate conversation Dennis and I have ever had. While he and I have always been on good terms, we've never been particularly close. I mean, I've always respected him, though. Sure, he does come to work a few times looking like he'd been in a bar fight the night before, but I've always seen him do an enthusiastic impression of a dinosaur as he plays with Tony's kids while they waited for their dad to finish up their shift. It's then that it hits me. Dennis and Tony were good friends. I'm not sure I want to rattle him with the news of Tony's death right now. Not before we know what's going on, but he has a right to know. I'm going to mention Tony because I don't want him freaking out later when, like, bad shit starts happening. And, like, he runs across the body, and then in a moment of, like, weakness, like, a log pops out and hits him in the head. I don't know the situation. Yeah, let's let him know. Tony's dead. Sorry, Dennis. Boom. You were up front with Dennis about Tony. Dennis will remember this. Dennis's eyes fixate on me, startled. He was crushed under the dozer, I say. Dennis pauses for a moment, like he's trying to understand what I said. His eyes narrow and his bottom lip quivers. Shit, he says. I can tell that he's fighting back tears. He and Tony had been tight, almost like brothers. Hey, he adds quickly, as if trying to escape the reality of Tony's death. Did you see that light? No, I say. What did you see? I don't even know, Roger, he says. It was like this flare of white light. Came right up out of the ground, like an explosion. Okay, so there was an explosion, I say. Maybe it was some equipment, or... this was no equipment, Dennis interrupts, agitated. This huge ball of light came right out of the damn ground. Okay, I'm not going to ask what it looked like, because it'll be a huge ball of light. So where did it go? How about that? It just shot up into the sky until it was out of sight. Aliens! When? I'm not sure, he answered. But I'd finished up about 10 trees for the day and was about to top one. That's when it happened. You were almost done with 10 trees, I asked? Yeah, he says, looking at the ground. You know, I wouldn't want to take a lunch break until I was done. And that's when the light blew up. Why? You don't believe me? I think you're exaggerating? No. Well, yeah, placate. I believe you. I don't want Dennis to body slam me. He saw what he saw, I think to myself. He has no reason to lie about this. My God, are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, he says. But if I'm being honest, it scared me pretty bad. And if it's all the same to you, I'd like to get the hell out of here. We both stand up and start heading towards the road. What about Frank and Henry and Melvin and Thomas? We need to find them too. It isn't until we start moving that I see Dennis is wounded. His right side is coated in blood, red seeping through his blue work shirt. There's a splatter of it here and there, but also a very large red splotch that makes me worry. How'd you get that injury? I'm not sure, Dennis replies. I must have gotten thrown or hurt somehow from that light. It's then that I notice that a strange ringing noise is still filling the air. Hey, I say, stopping. Do you hear that high-pitched ringing noise every once in a while? Dennis looks scared when I ask him this question, and he just nods. God, I thought it was just me, he says. He looks out of sorts and uncertain. I've never seen him like this before. It's obvious that he's looking for some reassurance. Even though I'm his boss, there's something very unnerving about this. All right, we'll be okay. It's probably nothing. Let's be realistic, I tell myself. I might as well try to be empathetic. Out here in the middle of these woods, the ringing could be anything. Maybe a car alarm from through the woods or something. Still, even my passive comment seems to have reassured Dennis. He looks a bit calmer, more relaxed. We both start moving forward and don't say another word. Did you try to call Frank? Dennis asks. I know he had his cell phone on him today. Yeah, not yet. Luckily, I still have a little bit of battery left. I pull out my cell phone and call Frank, happy I didn't make that call to Dennis earlier. Yeah, smart. It rings, but he doesn't pick up. But then I hear his phone go off from behind a stack of logs. Dennis and I give each other a look. As the phone goes to voicemail, I hang up and we walk behind the logs to find Frank's phone on the ground, abandoned. We look around for Frank, but find nothing, not a single trace. It's then that I notice something really odd, a 10-foot wide hole in the ground right near where the phone was. but there was no stray piles of removed dirt or rocks. It's clean, smoothly dug. Oh, that's where the light came from. Cutting into the earth, wide, but only a few feet deep. It looks unnatural, like the ground was just deleted. No shovels or diggers used. Voxel is like Minecraft. Bloop. Dennis walks over to it. It looks like some kind of hole where I saw the light come up out of the ground, he muses to himself. I say nothing. My mind is spinning, but I don't know what to think. All right, we need to get out of here, Dennis mutters. At the moment, that ringing noise carries through the forest again, sending a shiver down my spine. Dennis is right. There's something strange going on, and we may not be safe here. But the ringing sound could be a clue as to where the rest of the crew went. I gotta check the sound out. Yeah, we have to. I'm sorry, Dennis. I'm too curious. We've got our hard hats. I hope you have yours. Let's go check the sound. You decided to check the sound. Something's not right, I say. And there's a mechanical noise like that. You think someone's out there? He asks. Maybe. I think we should at least go check it out. They may be able to help. All right. Yeah, you go right ahead, he says with a grin. I'll be over here waiting for you. Better hurry, though. Dennis doesn't look like he's in the best shape to be trouncing around the forest. But we need some answers right away, too. All right. I'm gonna leave Dennis here? Yeah, let's leave him here. It'll be safer that way. And he's bleeding. I don't want him to get all fucked up. I hope Dennis is gonna be okay. All right, I'll go alone. You stay here. Try to hang on. I'll try and find someone. Just anyone. I give Dennis a final look, sensing that this could be a mistake. Now click it. Click bring Dennis. Could be a big mistake. He's looking at me like he's terrified of me now, making a moan in his throat. I turn away and start moving through the woods quickly. With Dennis all alone, I need to find the crew and get help right away. Alright, it's a bad idea then. Fuck. Every tree out here looks exactly the same. I grew up in the country and I can find my way around a forest without much problem, but I'm starting to feel a little disorientated. I'm leaning against a tree when I see something that has no business being here. Our logging crew has been out here for 3 weeks, and it seems impossible that we could have missed it. What is it? What is that? Oh, it's like a... Yeah, it's like an entryway underground. It's a small building, sort of a mixture of a shack and a bunker. It looks to be made of concrete, but moss, weeds, and plain old erosion also make it look sort of mystical. It looks like something out of a demented version of a medieval fantasy movie. Part of me wants to go back for Dennis. Seeing this eerie building in the middle of nowhere makes you yearn for company. It makes me feel like a little kid that's spooked of an old abandoned house at the end of the street. Yeah, kind of. That happened to me. I talked about it before, but like going through the woods and finding this like little abandoned cottage right next to this like big pool of water that also was connected to a river. And there's like a dilapidated boat there. So cool. I never went in. Wish I would have. Plus, the ringing noise that happens every once in a while. I think it's coming from this building. I'm racking my brain trying to remember if I've seen this before, but I haven't. I'm sure of it. I've never been here until now. Deja vu. Is Frank there? Or Joe? They can't be. But then again, they aren't anywhere out here. Looking inside the building is certainly more appealing than walking through the woods for a mile with an aching knee. If I find that I'm a little scared when I take my first few steps towards the building, the first thing I see is a sturdy metal door closed shut. Knock? Feeling a bit strange, I rap on the door a few times. It creaks and echoes with a tough metallic sound. After hearing no response, I turn the handle and open it, surprised that I encounter no resistance. The door opens easily, even though I hear the click of a lock. Looking closer, I see it locks from the outside. Is someone trying to keep somebody from leaving? Stretching out in front of me is a small interior to match the outside. The building is totally empty. There's a concrete floor, a dinghy, featureless walls. Dinghy? Like a ocean dinghy? Okay. There are no windows, giving the place an even more isolated feel. Still, I hear the ringing noise coming from somewhere in here. It's louder now, more prominent. The interior seems conflicting at first, but a small set of concrete steps leads about 5 feet down, revealing a long corridor. The interior seems confining at first, but a small set of concrete steps lead about 5 feet down, revealing a long corridor. I didn't even get to choose whether we went in or not. And now we're in. So too bad. There's no going back. There's no pausing. There's no waiting. It's a massive corridor, in fact. Like I'm in some kind of building underground. It seems to go on forever. This corridor is quite dark, lit only by emergency lights spaced every 10 feet or so. I assume I'm now underground because this corridor extends far beyond the limits of the building I entered. I realize that someone might not appreciate finding me here. Tiptoe quietly. Tippy-toe. I feel like a ghost. Like I truly have no business being here. I move slowly, my feet not making a sound. If anyone's in here, I want to make sure they don't hear me. I tiptoe forward as softly as I can. Just coming into view of the end of the hallway is another set of concrete stairs leading further down into the depths of the earth. I wish I had Dennis with me. Oh no. I can still hear a ringing noise every so often coming from in here. I look ahead to the concrete stairs, wondering just how far down they go. I approach the stairs, and I take my first step down. I get a sense that I'm crossing some sort of line here. There may very well be no going back. As I head down the stairs, I notice that they look aged. The damn ringing noise is somehow below, louder than ever. I feel like I'm walking down into a cellar of a haunted house, the light becoming scarce as the stairs take a slight turn. I can feel the temperature drop. As I keep moving down the stairs, my mind seems to lock onto an unknown fate of the rest of my crew. Frank is married, and I've met his wife a few times. She's a nice woman with a huge laugh. My heart sags a bit when I realize I might never again get to hear them belting out classic rock tunes during lunch break. Joe, well, I don't know too much about him. He's 22 years old and is considering community college. His folks are deadbeats, so he's been providing for himself since the age of 16 or so. Out here in the woods, regardless of their backgrounds or ages, I'm responsible for them. Whether frequenting the local bar after a long day or while away from their families on this risky job, I'm responsible for them. Maybe I can still find them and still get to hear Frank singing in his deep baritone voice after a few too many drinks. I slowly stick my foot out in search of the next step. I can't help but feeling like a child as a very powerful fear seizes me. I'm expecting a monster to reach out of the darkness, slicing into my throat. After what feels like forever, we come to the bottom of the stairs. I'm closer to the source of the ringing noise now. The door sits securely on the wall and looks just as out of place down here as I feel. A sliver of light seeps through, illuminating the area. The door has what looks like a panel with lots of labels and lights. Small embossed print above the panel says, Level 1 Entrance Gate Transport Sector. And there's a bottom with no label. Here, let's inspect the panel before we start pushing buttons. The panel looks like a diagnostic or alert system of some kind. Each label meant to communicate some status. Lockdown engaged, experiment in progress, shutdown engaged. Those all appear to be off, but one of the phrases has a slowly blinking red light next to it. The only power light on the whole thing. Abnormal entity breach. Oh no, what the hell? SCP? It turns into... That would be so cool if it was an actual SCP story. I slowly push the door open and more light pours out as I walk through. I don't think SCP Foundation would let their facilities fall into this much disrepair though. Probably not. As I walk through. As I do, that ringing or beeping or whatever the hell, it gets a little louder. The door closes behind me with a click. At this moment, I can't help but think about Dennis back up on the surface. What's he got going on up there? Why did that bulldozer turn over? And what was it that knocked us out? I hope I haven't left him in a dangerous situation. Stop it, game! It just keeps foreshadowing my choices back upon myself. I've been so preoccupied with my own fear that I nearly forgot the ringing noise. It had become just background noise. I take a few more steps, and now I can see where I am. It makes no sense. Yet, another thing that simply seems out of place. The shapes and muted colors of metal are so easy to identify, but it just doesn't belong here. End of chapter 1. Dennis! He's fine. He's fine. I'm sure he's fine. And if he's not, he'll leave. Respect the dead. You and 64% of players pulled Tony's body out from under the bulldozer. That's good. Did I find any secrets? 76 were upfront with Dennis about Tony's death. Okay. 55 told Dennis you believed his story. I believe it. 75 players went to investigate the ringing sound. Yeah, I'm right on track. Oh, you and 36 decided to leave Dennis behind. I'm sorry, Dennis. 36%. Sorry, Dennis. I thought he would be safer. He still could be, you know? Yeah. But that low of a score makes me think like some people were playing with a guide or something. So maybe I should have brought Dennis with me. Too late now. We're standing on a thin platform of what looks like a fancy subway. We are? I am. Roger, but I don't know who this we stuff is. The rails look well used, but not old. There's a small overhead light that are very dim, as if they're running on emergency power. The dim overhead lights are a blessing, but the size of the place makes me feel vulnerable. Staring ahead, the tunnel seems to be endless. It's almost dizzying. But there's a small light further ahead, and then the space breaks the monotony of the tunnel's curved surface. Another platform, maybe? This understanding comes with a very strong sense of trespassing. I'm definitely not supposed to be here. Stay silent. Shh, 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 shh. I keep my mouth shut. I don't understand what kind of situation I'm in, so there's no need to alert whoever may be here. The reality of what I'm seeing is sinking in. Whatever this place is, it reaches way underground. That seems impossible to me, making anything that's on the other side of this tunnel dangerous as far as I'm concerned. But of course, I'm going to go on. Human curiosity is going to see to that. Also, the ringing noise is louder down here. It's much more solid now, and there's some other sound. Something like that of a faint hum of machinery. I can either go left or right. Left is slightly lit. To the right, not so much. This makes me uneasy because I get the sense that one wrong turn in a place like this and I'll be wandering around for hours. Looking each way, I jerk my head right as I hear the unmistakable sound of someone walking. Footsteps. Did I really hear something? I wonder as my eyes strain to see anything. I wait a moment, but the sound doesn't come again. So, those are my options. To the left are flickering lights, indicating that I'll at least be able to see. There's also a hum of machinery, a sign of life. To the right, just darkness, but I also heard footsteps in that direction. Go right. You made a big mistake. No. If there's anyone here, they're worth speaking to. But I've been quiet this whole time. It's like goes against what I've been trying to do up until this point. Makes no sense. They're worth speaking to. Right, it is. As I leave the glow of the electric lights, things feel a bit more sinister. Also, the tunnel or hallway or whatever this is, it seems to widen out up ahead. I wonder how Dennis is doing back at the logging site. I wince, remembering the blood around his side. The darkness I find myself in feels thick, like walking in syrup. I'm reminded of the fear that I felt as a child. I had gone down into the basement to fetch tools for my dad. I was sure there were snakes or spiders or monsters of unimaginable horror lurking down there. I feel the same way here, walking through this tunnel. That's when I see it, a human figure far in the back of the tunnel, silhouetted in the faint light at the end. He's standing on some other platform. It's likely he can't see me. It looks like he might be holding a gun, but it's too dark to be sure. Stay quiet. This person might be dangerous. I do my best not to move. As I watch the figure, looking back and forth down the tunnel, it's unclear if he's looking for something or if he's just as lost as I am. But he can't see me in the dark. After a moment, the figure rushes away through the door, or through a door. Just as well, I don't want to reveal myself to anyone until I know more about where I am. This is a big facility. Holy shit. They have their own, like, subway stations and stuff. As I head further into the tunnel, I reach another platform. I'm looking and trying to process where I am now, and I suddenly hear rapid footfalls of somebody running towards me. They're sprinting this way from the dark side of the tunnel, and fast. I can't see anything, but their footsteps echo towards me. After seeing that person with the gun a moment ago, I'm not sure if this person is armed as well. I realize I only have a few seconds before they're on top of me. Hide and attack? No, I don't want to make these decisions. I'm going to stand out in the open. Maybe it's one of the guys. Yeah, I'm not going to attack somebody who I don't know in this huge facility that I have no idea about. That seems ridiculous. Yeah, stand out in the open. I figure I may as well greet them like a civilized human being. There would be a better chance of getting answers that way. I step into the light as they get closer and closer. And when they step into the glow of the platform, I can't believe my eyes. It's Dennis! He's running too, so that means he's okay. Dennis, what the hell are you doing down here? I left you back up at the logging site. He stops running and stares at me, dumbfounded. Yeah, 36% people. Suck it. Oh my God, Roger, it's you. God, I'm so glad to see you in this godforsaken tunnel. How did you get down here, I ask? And why are you down here? You didn't seem fit to move. He bends over and put his hands on his knees, breathing heavily. I can see that the gash on his side is inflamed now. God, it's not safe up there, he says, as though that explains everything. I started running to get away, and I ended up here. Why isn't it safe? I was waiting for you where we last spoke, and then I heard something in the woods. At first, I thought it was a car radio, some crackling static, but then it was much louder, like some kind of demon. It got louder and louder, and it freaked me out, and I just started running. I fell into some kind of sinkhole. The damn ground just fell out from under me, and I ended up in this really weird hallway that led me to this tunnel. He pauses, as if evaluating whether what he's just said is crazy or not. Well, you're here now, and honestly, I'm glad to see you, I say. What do you say we check out this platform, see if we can get some answers? There's a light coming from the platform, but like the overhead lights, they're all dim, red emergency lights. I start to wonder if the explosion at the logging site caused a power outage in this place. Whatever this place is. The ringing noise that I originally thought was in my head is getting louder. I'm starting to think it's some sort of alarm. When we come to the large open area ahead of the tunnel, it further resembles a subway station. Yep. As much as I try to ignore that reality, it's undeniable. We have stumbled into some sort of high-tech transportation system that's buried beneath the forests of Kentucky. It makes absolutely no sense and creates an entirely new sorts of fear to what the hell we've walked into. I notice that Dennis seems confident, though. When we reach the large opening, we have to climb over the rails and onto the platform. I have to help Dennis over the rails, and then up the small utility ladder that is bolted to the opposite side of the travelway. When he reaches the large open area resembling a subway waiting area, he collapses on the floor and lets out a heavy breath. You know what? Dennis says, exasperated. This is ridiculous. I quit. I'm not going any further. On top of worrying about my crew and the madness of wherever we are, I'm not in any mood for Dennis to act like a baby. Hey, come on, be a little more empathetic. What happened to that empathy that you had for Frank or whatever and his baritone wife? I don't think that's how that went. His wife wasn't a baritone. It's okay. Take it easy. Yeah, we'll be encouraging. You can do this. I'm not the one with the gash in my side, I think to myself. Empathy. So I decide to cut him some slack. Damn, boss. I'm sorry. He says, Hey, it's okay, I say. I don't know how you're still on your feet, man, if I'm being honest. It's just stubbornness, he says with a weak laugh. You need a minute to rest? I ask him as warmly as I can muster. No, if I sit down to rest, I'm afraid I might not get back up. Let's just keep going while I still can go. I reach down and help him to his feet, and then we get ourselves up onto the platform. Right in front of us is an entrance to a long hallway exiting the platform area. It's at this point that I realize these red emergency lights might be on for someone else who is actually supposed to be here. the red emergency lights are on for someone like that guy I saw earlier standing on the platform. I guess we got lucky that we didn't pursue that first guy thinking it was Dennis, and we went after the second guy. Wait, why would I yell out? I don't understand. I'm gonna stay quiet. Yeah. I'm still not sure I want to alert anyone of the fact that there are strangers in this secret place. And the thought of hearing a scream, even my own scream, in an empty place is too much to bear. Yeah, it will echo everywhere. Everyone will hear. The emergency lights continue to flicker overhead, casting a sick sort of pinkish light on everything. My mind is racing with what sort of place this might have been. It's obvious that it's meant to be a secret. And if this is supposed to be a secret, and there was a power outage recently, maybe most everyone had been evacuated. But then, why was that one person still here? This thought does nothing to make me feel better as I walk towards the platform exit. We step inside, and it seems just as empty as every other place we've come through, weakly illuminated by more overhead emergency lights. We're standing inside a hallway that looks surreal for a moment. I wish there were more pictures and more visual aspects. I understand why not. Like if I were to make a visual novel, I'm slightly artistically inclined, but it would take a lot of work to get a lot of art out. And I don't know if these are assets. It kind of looks almost real, but they look like still shots from like areas in video games or something. I'm not sure, but it's okay because the writing's solid. As long as, like for visual novels, I found as long as the writing's solid, it can carry a whole lot. Yeah, it can carry a whole lot. The hallway reminds me of a hospital wing, but there's something not quite right about it. It's the first clean and tidy area I've seen since coming through the woods. It looks like it was recently in use, despite the dim emergency lights overhead. There's chairs against the wall and the floor. They look clean as well, as do the walls. The ringing noise is definitely coming from here, and a small flashing red light along the ceiling seems to flash along with it. That ringing noise is an alarm, I say, if only to confirm my own thoughts. But what for? Dennis asks. And then he asks a question that has been on my mind since I found this little building in the woods. What the hell is this place? We exchange a look that speaks volumes. We reach the end of the hallway and hear a sound like a large metallic grinding. It's followed by a clicking noise and then the unmistakable noise of a generator kicking in. So yeah, somebody's up here maintaining this place, or at least trying to keep up with the emergency, it seems. Yeah, the lights are back. Oh shit. Without warning, the facility jolts to life. The red glow of the emergency lights are suddenly replaced by bright white fluorescent ones. The mechanical hum is oddly comforting. Somehow, the power being back on urges us on. It's then that I notice that the ringing noise has stopped. So it had been an alarm. But for what? Just the power failure? We head down the hallway, the electric hum of the lights sounding eerie overhead. Other than that, this place is dead quiet. The hall is about 100 feet long, with two main doors. One of the doors opens into a large room that looks like a conference room, with a whiteboard and papers strewn about. Go there! We maybe can find out from notes and stuff what's going on. Across the hallway, another door looks like a laboratory of some sort. Laboratory of some sort. Laboratory of some sort. Dennis slumps against the wall in defeat and lets out a scary sounding chuckle. Something funny? I ask, as the dark and brooding panic starts to grip me. Dennis just keeps chuckling as he slides down to the floor. I'm just gonna sit here while you look around, he says. There's a look in his eyes that reminds me far too much of a dead animal on the side of the road. Enter the conference room. I want to see those notes. Yeah. Give me the files. And check the whiteboard. A large table sits in the middle of the room, lined with a series of chairs. It looks like something straight out of a showroom. A well-used whiteboard hangs on the wall. There are scattered papers on the desk. Look at the papers! Oh, we have to choose whiteboard or papers. Probably papers. Most of the papers and printouts have codes and equations that all go way over my head. But there's also a handwritten note that doesn't make me feel any better about our situation. I read through them and saw the scrawled notes that say things like, Last experiment failed. Overdose before transport. Levels indicate cellular catabolism. More lead shielding in export suits. Measurements make no sense. Let Barksdale know about the possible Higgs field fix. Okay, so they're doing something with physics then. They're talking about Higgs field. All right, look at the whiteboard on the wall. A few things were scribbled on the whiteboard, mostly formulas and names. But there are some things that are easy to understand, things that make my blood go cold. Subject number 6, cause of death, a molism or aneurysm, or both. Ideas for new delivery mode, spherical, liquid, comatose state, tetracore, possibly plutonium supplier. Outside of the hallway, I hear Dennis grunting. I head out of the room and see he's still seated on the floor, but I don't get very far, because as I exit, a man comes rushing from the corner with an automatic rifle in his hand. No! No! Please no! I was so sneaky, and I saved Dennis. It's hard to look beyond his rifle, but the man carrying it is young, with messy dark hair. His skin is so pale that I wonder if maybe he lives down here. He has the look of a guy who's been cooped up for a little too long. He doesn't seem like the kind of person I'd trust with a gun in a stressful situation. As he sees us in the doorway, he screams and brings his gun up. It's aimed directly at my head. Dennis jumps up and stands next to me like he's ready to run for it. I recognize him by his height and build. He's a person I could barely see back in that dark tunnel. I'm not going to try to attack. We'll put our hands in the air. Yeah, no, That's an automatic rifle, man. I put my hands in the air, surprised about how natural it feels to go into this surrendered state. Maybe it's because this feels like a dream. Maybe it's because I feel like I'll snap awake if that maniac pulls the trigger. Who are you? And how did you get in here? The man asks harshly. Before we can answer, he continues speaking. I don't recognize you. If you're here, you would have had to sneak by the security mics in the entrance hall. What? I ask, unable to think of anything else to say. Who are you? The man asks. Did you do this? The man eyes us both, and I see something in his eyes that unsettles me. He's scared, but there's something else. We're just loggers, man. We're just loggers. His eyes look distant for a minute, and then he says, bullshit. But for some reason, I'm pretty sure he knows I'm telling the truth. Someone knocked the power out. It's back on now, but if it was out long enough, well, we're in a heap of trouble. Was it you? Who sent you? Look, man, we don't even know what you're talking about, Dennis says. Something happened out in the woods. Are you alone? Are there others with you? The alarmed man asks, thrusting the gun in my face. How the hell did we get in this situation, I think to myself. If only I had left that damn ringing noise alone. We wouldn't be here, playing this game. It would have been boring. Well, aside from the crushed people. I'm not really sure if I want to give this guy information yet. We don't know anything about him. Then again, he might have answers. No, it's just us. No, if we say that, then he's going to shoot the next person that he sees. We're looking for our crew. I'm just going to be upfront. Upfront and earnest. We have other crew members that we can't find, I say. Your crew? He asks, seeming confused. If this man thinks that we're nuts, there's no telling what he might do. The fact that he looks a little crazy himself makes the situation even hairier. But how'd you get in here? The man asks. I pointed down the hall, near the subway. We came in through that way. The doors weren't locked. His expression calms a bit, but I'm still very aware that the gun is leveled less than a foot away from my face. Please, can you put the gun down, man? Get the fucking gun out of my face. The only way I'm putting this rifle down is after I've blown your brains out, the man says. With that, he uses the muzzle of the gun to flip my hard hat onto the floor. It's a childish move, a playground tactic at best, but it's sufficient to show me that he knows he's in control now. He then levels the rifle at Dennis, and I can only assume it's because his wounds make him appear to be the weaker of us. The man takes a shaky step forward. Dennis looks back and forth between the barrel of the gun and me, his eyes pleading for help. Step between Dennis and the gun. Nah, we ain't doing that for our wonderful wrestler, Lumberjack. Before I'm fully aware of what I'm doing, I step in front of Dennis. The barrel of the rifle is nearly touching my chest now. Both Dennis and the man seem a little confused at my action. I do my best to swallow down my fears. I don't know what's going on here, I say, but we're here by mistake. Well, you have no business here, the man says, but now that the power's on, I think you might be too late anyway. For what? I ask, but he doesn't answer me. Instead, he steps forward and actually pushes me backwards with the end of his rifle. The man then repeats the question he asked before, one that makes no sense and honestly makes me think he might be a little crazy. Who sent you? You assholes from the Pentagon? I'm not quite sure how to take this question. Is this guy joking? I'm not going to joke around with him. Yeah, I'm the president. No, what the hell are you talking about? We're just loggers, man. Something blew up and my friend got hurt. We're looking for the rest of our crew. Likely story, the man says, but I see a flicker of recognition in his face that makes me think he may believe me. Still, his grip on the gun is as tight as ever. The look on his face makes me think he'll shoot at any moment. You both just stand still. Sooner or later, someone will come along and I'll turn you over. He again thrusts the gun forward as if it has an invisible bayonet on it. There's no need for that, I tell him. I have no guarantee that he won't pull the trigger. God, they keep pressing that fact. I know, man. Look, Dennis says, we don't want any trouble. We're just as confused as you are. Then, in a moment so fast, I just about missed it, Dennis lunges forward. Dennis, you fool! I have no idea how he's moving so fast. Just 30 seconds ago, I was worried about how close to death he looked, but now he's moving lightning fast. His arms are coming down around the barrel of the gun like a club. In the commotion, the man does pull the trigger. The booming noise is deafening, and there's a moment where I think I've been hit. It takes the clanging noise of the round tearing into the floor at my feet to help me realize that I have not been shot. I look to the floor and see where the shot missed my right leg by less than 3 inches. I'm paralyzed, in shock for a moment, as Dennis and the man fight over for possession of the rifle. There's a fire extinguisher on the wall that I could bludgeon, but I might not have enough time to grab it before Dennis is overpowered. Punch him! Punch him. Dennis has the man pinned to the floor, but isn't strong enough to keep him down. As I fall to the floor to help, the barrel of the rifle swings right in front of my face. I remember how close I'd come to being shot. On my knees now, I deliver a hard, stiff punch to the man's face. I don't punch someone often. I mean, never, really. I'm not usually the brawling type. Still, it's apparently effective. The man snaps back hard, and his grip on the gun loosens. Dennis grabs the gun and then falls to the floor, clearly winded and in pain. Our attacker is immobilized. Dude, Dennis saves. Dennis carried our ass. Our attacker is immobilized, and I can feel a shift in the situation. Yet, although he's basically harmless now, I feel the need to pummel him, a desire that builds up with each second I look at him. No, stand up and step back. He's down, man. You took it easy on the man. He's definitely out now. He's no threat. Or at least, that's what I think. Stop it. It does that every time. Every time you make a choice, it does that bullshit. But he surprised me by mustering up one more swift kick in my direction, connecting with my forehead. What? My eyelids swell to the size of a grape almost immediately. It seems like this last attack is more to spite me than to defend himself. I stumble back and ready myself for another round of blows, but he just slouches onto the floor. He's done. Dennis instantly hands the rifle over to me, and I take it with shaking hands. God, I can't believe you stepped between me and the gun, Dennis says. Dude, he could have killed you. I was pretty sure he wouldn't, I say, although I had known no such thing. Still, thanks, man. That was some heroic stuff. You would have done the same, right? Dennis says nothing. His eyes look to the floor. All right, what do we do now, boss? We've come this far, and I want answers. I sense that Dennis does too. I walk over and pick up my hard hat off the floor. After placing it on my head, yes, exactly, where it belongs, I turn towards the man. We get answers from this guy. No answers, the man said. I don't have any. Next time, I won't just hit you, I say, plunging the rifle towards him. Now get up. He obeys quickly, but his legs are wobbly, and he leans against the wall for support. I can feel my swollen eyelid from where he kicked me earlier. I just hope it doesn't get so bad that it affects my sight. Oh no, no foreshadowing. Okay, let's move. I point the gun further down the hallway. We've come this far, and I'm not going to let this guy stop us. We walk down the hallway until we come to the end. A single elevator waits for us. its steel sliding door larger than a normal elevator. End of chapter? No, there's 5 chapters. This might be a long one. Yeah, long story. Before I get into the elevator with this guy, I think it's wise to learn a bit more about him. I can tell it's making him uncomfortable for me having the gun. What's your name? I ask. Marcus. And you work here? It's clear he doesn't want to answer, but he gives us a little nod. We're looking for the rest of our crew. Any idea where they may be? No, he says curtly, not bothering to elaborate. There's got to be something useful we can get out of this guy. I just need to know how to dig for it. I need a first aid kit for my friend here, I say. Where might I find one? Down on the 2nd floor, he says, but we can't go down there. What's on level 2? Did he say 2nd floor? Yeah, down on 2nd floor. What's on level 2? He looks at me like I'm an idiot. You must be aware you're inside of a classified government facility, he says. It makes sense, but I want to doubt it. Well, I'm sure our government would want to help save my friend, so take me to the first aid kit. I can't, he says. You don't have clearance. Hell, I barely have clearance. Then, seemingly to himself, he mutters, I make this place run. And not even a thank you. Just a bunch of restricted access rooms that I'm only allowed to go into with a friggin' chaperone. I interrupt his monologue. We're going to that first aid kit. I could lose my job, he says. I wonder for a moment what sort of trouble I could get in for hitting a government employee. That's a federal offense. This makes me glad I took it easy on him. It's a federal offense. Then again, he had come at us with a rifle. It makes me think that things have gone terribly wrong in this place. And the explosion in the woods or whatever the hell happened might be linked to it all. I need to convince him to take us to the 2nd floor, but I'm not sure if it would be more productive just to threaten him or ask for sympathy. Just ask for help. This guy's got to break eventually, man. He keeps acting tough, but he's got to break eventually with enough empathy, right? Ask that man for help. Look, it hasn't been the best day for us. We're just trying to find out what's going on and to find our crew, just to survive. I know that this isn't a normal situation down here. It looks like all of your protocols have been blown to hell, but can't you help us out? He looks at me sternly, weighing his options. Okay, he says. God, thank you, I say. With an untrusting stare, Marcus walks to the elevator door, approaching a small keypad by the doors. He punches in a numerical code on the keypad, and we can hear a slight mechanical hum behind the still doors. After a few seconds of angry glances and frightened sneers from Marcus, the elevator arrives. The steel doors slide open with a whisper, revealing the interior. Floor 2, please. It's exceptionally well lit, and it looks to be made of stainless steel. I half expect the thing to take off at light speed. There's another small keypad in front of the right panel by the door, with the option for 3 sub-level floors. It looks like this elevator doesn't go to the surface. Alright, after we get the first aid kit for Dennis, how do we get out of here? I ask. We can't leave. Once the power came back on, the whole place was put into lockdown. What? I shout. Can't you override it? No, it's to prevent anything from getting out. I can't. Marcus looks as deflated as Dennis. Wait, we can't get out of here? We're stuck here? Dennis leans into the corner and almost falls to the floor. The struggle for the rifle took a lot out of him, and I can see that much in his face. Slowly, we start to move down. The hum and grind of the car's motor fills the space. Okay, what can you do? What can you do for us, Marcus? Marcus bristles at the question. I knew. All right, that is a kind of snotty question. Marcus bristles at the question, but I think it's fair. I mean, he's not allowed to unlock doors or even get medical supplies, so why keep the guy around who can't grab a band-aid without permission? Without me, nothing would get done here, Marcus answered me. These people think they're so brilliant, but some of them can barely turn their computers on without help. Top coder in my class at MIT, and I'm stuck living underground helping idiots who don't even trust me with keys. What goes on here? He's not going to tell us that. He's going to say it's classified. How big is this place? He might tell us that. It's a government facility of the highest secrecy, Marcus says. A research facility. It goes 4 stories underground, and quite frankly, it scares the piss out of me that you two got in here so easily. Why is that? I ask. This is a Black Ops graveyard, he replies. Even the CIA doesn't know this place exists. All right, we already know what its job is, so what goes on down here then? Marcus shakes his head. You may as well shoot me, because I can't tell you. Why not? Dude, it's beyond classified. And the things I know don't even come close to the start of it. What does that mean? I ask, starting to get irritated. It means that even if I wanted to tell you what sort of work is done here, I don't know enough about it. All right, so what knocked the lights out then? Seems like some sort of power outage? That's all I know. There was an outage and then what? Dennis asks weakly. Things got weird. Things got bad. Bad how? I ask. The whole place seemed to shake when the lights went out. I was checking the monitors when it happened and everything went dead. It took no more than a minute or so before I started hearing the screams. People were being killed by something. I tried getting the security cameras going again, but they only lasted for a little bit on my backup system. But what I saw? What? I ask, feeling a sharp fear worm its way into my guts. Well, what I saw on the screens, for that little bit of time, it made no sense. It made me get the gun from the emergency vault. I think whatever it is, it's still down here. Hold on. There's an emergency vault with a rifle in the same room as the security cameras in this place? Marcus gives me a grin that looks nearly insane. There are guns locked away in every room in this place. It's just in case, you know? Just in case of what? He opens his mouth to answer. The elevator comes to a stop and the door slides open. Marcus is in right away, without a word. He makes his exit and heads directly for the glassed-in room that's filled with computer monitors and high-end equipment. Dennis and I file out behind him, trying to keep up. As we do, one very alarming question runs through my head. What the hell kind of government facility keeps loaded guns and emergency vaults in every single room? End Chapter 2. I'm intrigued. I want to know. It is SCP shit. Curiosity. You and 42% players stayed quiet. Yeah. When we saw Marcus in the tunnel. Okay. So at Marcus, we saw first. Stopped in front of Dennis. Yes. Good. Easy on Marcus, of course. Yeah. We're like, this one, not so much for curiosity, but that's okay. Begin Chapter 3. We follow Marcus into what can only be described as a control room of sorts. There are countless computer screens, some of which are obviously coming back on from having been shut off. Everything looks extremely complicated, from the screens filled with code and data to what is obviously a security system. It reminds me of a miniaturized version of the operations centers in just about every space travel movie I've ever seen. Marcus is running from one screen to another, apparently looking for some pertinent bit of information. Where's the first aid kit? I snap at him. Marcus stops in his tracks as if he had forgotten the whole reason of us being down here. Oh, yeah, he says, rushing off to the left side of the room. There, he hunkers down by an open panel on the wall of what I assume is emergency vault where he got the rifle. That guy, is Marcus on our side now? Peer into the open vault because I don't want him grabbing another gun. You know? Peer into the vault? I peer over Marcus's shoulder into the vault he's opened. It's much larger than it looks from the outside. It's partially filled with file folders that are marked classified, a few rounds of ammo for the rifle, a peculiar plastic kit filled with syringes, and a locked black box. As Marcus digs around, one of the folders slips open, and for a split second that it's open, I can see a scanned document with a colored photo. The photo shows a male corpse with its guts outside of its body, as if it had been turned inside out. There's also massive swelling on his head, almost like his skull is about to explode. Marcus slaps the folder closed, and then I turn my attention to one of the syringes. It's filled with a violet-colored fluid that, while rather pretty in color, looks deadly. Marcus pulls out the first aid kit and turns around. When I look back to motion Dennis over, he's paler than ever. "Come on," I tell him, but he's not moving from the place on the floor where he sits against the wall. I slide the first aid kit over to him, and I scramble to his side. Between the struggle for the rifle upstairs and arriving in this room, he's fading fast. I struggle to lift his shirt up and then over his shoulder as the dried blood holds it in place. The mere act causes him to grimace. "All right, this might hurt a little bit, Dennis." He only nods. He doesn't seem to care. "All right." Pull shirt off. Quickly. "No," gently. Why is that such a big decision? I lift the shirt off gently and it makes a sucking sound. There's so much blood that the moisture tries to keep the shirt pulled to him. Dennis lets out a little moan, but he seems to relax in spite of his injuries. With his shirt fully removed, the extent of his injuries become clear. His wound is more visible now, although it's partially hidden by the blood that has started to clot around it. My medical knowledge is slim, basically just a bunch of basics I learned in Boy Scouts. I look over to Marcus, hopefully, and ask, "You have any training in this?" "Zero," he says. "Sorry." It's just as well, I thought. He's far too concerned with what's happening on the monitors to be of much help anyway. I start by taking out several rolls of gauze within the kit and wipe as much of the blood away as I can from the wound on his side. It's even worse than I figured from the start. The gash is deep and dark. I'm pretty sure it's infected too. He's gonna need stitches, that's for sure, but I have no idea how to start on that. Besides, I don't see tools for it in the kit. When I splash rubbing alcohol over the wound, he responds with a hoarse yelp, surprised, but nothing more. His eyes are locked on me, and he looks appreciative, but he's also scared. "Be honest," Dennis said hopefully. "How bad does it look? You think I'll live?" "It looks really bad, Dennis. It looks really bad. You'll be fine, champ, no problem." I lie. I lie. "Good to know," he says, "because I sure don't feel like that." "You've been through hell, man. I think it feels worse than it actually looks." "All right, thanks. That's a relief." "I won't lie. You're gonna have a scar," I say, trying to be funny. He chuckles a little bit, but there's no humor in it. He rests his head against the wall and closes his eyes as I finish up. I place one layer of gauze against the wound and bind it with medical tape. Then I reinforce it with a second layer. I know it's meager, but it's all I can do. "Thanks, Roger," he says, actually managing to force out a smile. "I feel a lot better. I think I'll be fine." I'm not so sure about that, but I'm glad I was able to encourage him. I look back at Marcus, and he's looking back at us in deep thought. My eyes starting to really swell up from where he kicked me earlier. Maybe I shouldn't have let him off so easy. "Are these more? Stop making me regret my decisions, game. God damn it. Are these first aid kits all you have in this facility?" I ask. "If there's something better, I don't know about it," he says. I noticed then that his defensive posture is no longer there. Something's different now. Just a slight change to his demeanor. He's seen something on those monitors that has him frightened, more than he already was before. "All right, what is it?" I ask. "What's wrong?" His eyes travel around the room, and it's obvious he's trying to decide whether or not to tell the truth. Get up and look at the monitor. Rather than wait for him, I get up and scan the screens behind him, seeing if I can find any clues I had missed moments ago. After a few moments, I see a few things that even I comprehend, hidden in the complex information on most of the screens. On one screen, I see what looks like a power meter that's slowly climbing upwards. Uh-oh. A single message flashing beneath it reads, "Unexpected power failure. Foreign entity." Another message trickling along at the bottom of the black screen says, "Safety locks on. Level 3 contaminant. Doors engaged. Override." I see still scenes on a few of the other screens that I assume are security cameras showing hallways and passageways from elsewhere in the facility. One of them shows the first level hallway we were just on a few minutes ago. Another shows a hallway I don't recognize. The floor is covered in blood. And from just off the screen, I see what I think may be a human body, but it's bent in an impossible way. It looks like the body's legs and torso have somehow been merged or melted into the floor. What's wrong with the system? I don't care about the person who's merged with the floor. All right, this place has backups for its backups. It's not ever supposed to suffer a full electrical shutdown. All right, and what does foreign entity mean? I ask, hoping he has a sane answer. I have no idea. That keeps coming off and on. Whenever it is, it keeps entering and exiting to set off the sensors. What the hell? There's something still happening then? So we're still in danger. He turns away, clearly fearing that he has already said too much. And as bad as that is, there's a scene in the other monitor that makes my blood go cold and my fear spike to levels somewhere near terror. The scene is very familiar. It's the logging site. The equipment is unmistakably mine. I can even see my truck. Something like fury rises up in my guts, momentarily pushing aside the fear. For a moment, I consider just tearing into him, a few punches, and shove him against the wall, nothing more. I want answers, and I want them now, but I'm not sure which would provide more answers, asking calmly or kicking his ass. Just calmly, man. Just do it calmly. Don't want anything to happen to Dennis, like a stray punch or something could just lay him out and he'd be dead. This is so SCP, by the way. I love it. Could you please, but this is clearly not an SCP, like, ran facility, but it could be within the universe. Sorry, I like SCP a lot. I can't help it. Could you please explain to me why you were spying on my crew? My anger is prodding me, and I have to hold back against it. It's near the surface, demanding a release. God, it's part of my job. Mine and a few others. Your crew had been watched ever since you set up your equipment. Why? Because you're working with heavy equipment, some of which digs into the ground, less than a mile from a secret government facility. I had no idea of that. How could I have known? Marcus gives me that same crooked, trembling smile that was beginning to creep me out. Because those things would draw attention to this place. You have no idea how secretive this facility is. Besides, I know the higher-ups looked into it. Your site isn't on government land. It's shy about 300 yards. Every piece of your equipment is on private property. The timber track that you purchased for Mr. Gladstone 2 months ago. So even if we wanted to intervene and keep your crew away, we couldn't have done it without stirring up a fuss. The fact that someone with such low-level clearance knows this much about my logging crew is unnerving. All right, if you've been watching us, why didn't you recognize us when you met us in the hallway? He shakes his head and exhales, like it's obvious. The cameras are just a bird-eye view, man. I can't see faces. We just track bodies and names. Ask calmly. Just stay calm. Just stay calm. Fuck Marcus, but stay calm. All right, so since you have all this surveillance, do you know where the rest of my crew is? I do my best to keep my voice level, even though my impulse is to shout. Well, all of you were on the site as usual before the incident. It had been a few hours since I had checked, though. They might have come near the facility. Maybe not. I don't know. He says this casually, like it's not important. Well, are they inside the facility? You have cameras everywhere, right? Do you see them? Marcus shakes his head. I've been looking all over and I haven't seen your crew, man. They aren't here. But, he adds, the lower levels don't have any cameras. They're classified. I'm not sure how they would have gotten down there, but it's a possibility. I'm still shocked that we're being watched. Do they know everything about us? I'm telling you, the depth of influence in this facility goes deep. There are 36 employees down here. Outside of those employees, only 5 other people know about this place existing. Ask calmly. What do all these people do here? I ask, keeping my voice level. He doesn't even pause to consider if he should go any further. He actually laughs, and he gives me an answer. I honestly don't know everything. Probably very little, but what I do know is that it's more than Black Ops. All right, what does that mean? There are scientists here who have been disavowed by their own governments because of the nature of their work. You get it now? I mean, I don't at all, but I don't want him to know that. You said there's 36 employees, I say. Where are they now? He shakes his head. As far as I know, everyone else is gone. Gone? Gone where? He points to the screen that still informs us of the unexpected power failure and cringes. If this power failure was not corrected in time, there's no telling. But they're here in the facility somewhere, right? I ask, hoping someone will be able to help Dennis better than I can. I just don't know. They could be anywhere, Marcus says. Look, I say, furious with the way that he's talking in riddles. I don't... Oh, God, Dennis says. I look over at him, and he looks pale as a ghost. He stood up, and his eyes are locked on the monitor closest to him. What? I ask. He simply points at the monitor, and then looks away. I look at the monitor and see the logging site, but more specifically, I see the overturned dozer and Tony's crushed body several feet away from it, where I pulled him out. Tony. See? But we already told him about Tony. The fact of his death seems abstract almost, like it happened in some other world or a very long time ago. I know you already told me he was gone, Dennis whispered, but it's different, actually seeing him. My God. Suddenly, something blazes open by the door outside. The shape is fast in shadow, but I'm pretty sure it's a person. Someone else is here, Marcus says, wheeling around. He sounds very happy to discover this, so I try to follow his lead. Someone else is here! There we go. I said it wrong. With the context. If something bad happened at this facility, then surely the sight of another survivor is a good thing, right? We should check it out, he says. I realize this isn't the best moment to leave Dennis after revisiting Tony's death over again. Someone just ran by the door, I tell him. Hopefully, it's someone who can help us. We'll be right back. You going to be okay? Yeah, no, we're keeping Dennis alive. That's fine. Go see who it is, he says, giving me a mock thumbs up. I turn to Marcus and motion for us to head over to investigate. All right, let's be careful. Depending on who it is, they may not be as hesitant to shoot a stranger as I was. I nod at him and head for the door. I'm still holding the rifle in my hand, and I don't know if I have the guts to actually use it if it's needed. With a final look back at Dennis. Final look. Oh, sorry, Dennis. I run out to the second level hallway. Shoot the fire extinguisher. Cause a smoke screen. Marcus follows. There's still fear in his eyes, but also the slightest glimmer of hope. That hope is contagious. We take off after the figure that just ran past the command center. Ahead of us, the facility presents yet another long hallway. Right away, I notice that this level of the facility seems darker, even though the lights are now on. The hallway is adorned with a number of yellow doorways and large white panels along the wall. It's clean and well maintained, but there's something ominous about it. Up ahead, I see the fleeting motion of something in the dark, cutting quietly to the left, down a corridor. There, I say quietly, pointing up ahead. Marcus gives a nod. We continue chasing after the person we saw blaze by the command center just a moment ago. Then it occurs to me that this person could be like Marcus was at first, armed and scared. Move towards them slowly. When we reach the intersection in the hall where I'd seen the shadow moving, I ease around the corner just in case. Sure, I have a rifle in my hands, but I don't want to use it unless I have to. I quickly dart around the corner and take the same shooting stance that I've seen countless times on TV. There's a woman standing there, about 10 feet away. She has reddish blonde hair and a small mousy build. She looks terrified and is visibly shaken. She's probably in her late 30s. She's wearing a lab coat with dark jeans and green Converse low tops. I have a strange sense that her fear is not just about our sudden appearance. She looks like a woman who's been running scared for a while now. Her hands are raised in surrender. She's not holding a weapon. Marcus slowly approaches, taking a few steps ahead of me. It's Amy, right? He asks. She blinks, seemingly surprised that he knows her name. Yes, she says. And you're Marcus. She nods absently and then looks to my rifle. I'm not going to use it. Don't worry. Now, how do I know that? She asks. You know what? One thing I noticed that I like is when you choose the question, it doesn't repeat the question. So you're not reading it twice. I like that. I don't know. Just an observation. Now, how do I know that? She asks. You're trespassing on government property in the midst of a huge catastrophic event, and you have a rifle. How am I supposed to believe you? I have a friend back in the command center who needs medical attention, I say, and we're looking for the rest of our crew. I'm really sorry, but I don't know where they are, she says. Do you know what's happened? Marcus says, from the power outage. I don't know what caused it, she says, but there was an experiment taking place when the outage occurred. Something happened and she trails off here, giving me a look of distrust. I saw things on the security monitors. The experiments failed, didn't it? Marcus says. I don't know the specifics, Amy says. I barely escaped the 3rd floor. I was going to the command center to see if there was security footage showing anything, but then I saw you and the gun. Listening to their conversation, I feel totally in the dark. What experiments? Amy looks to me, her eyes wide and terrified. Who are you anyway? She asks. I quickly give her my story. A logger stranded in the woods following a peculiar explosion at a logging site. As I tell her, recognition blooms in her eyes. Oh, you're one of the loggers. Yeah. They were, Marcus says. There was a freak accident. There's no proof that they were responsible. I feel myself wanting to submit to all the questions that are piling up in my head, but Dennis is watching me. Ask about medical help for Dennis. Please, he needs to be saved. I decide that despite my curiosity, I need to get Dennis help as soon as humanly possible. Look, is there any medical help to be had here or not? I ask. Probably, Amy says, but you'll have to find Colonel Barksdale. He knows where all of those sorts of supplies are. And where is he? Where's everyone else? I ask. At this, Amy starts to weep. She falls to her knees, as if someone had struck her from behind. They're gone. Some were killed. Some were just, I don't know, disappeared right in front of me, she says. Disappeared? Yes. They were here one second, gone the next. Just... She snaps her fingers together for the effect. Gone. Something's here with us, Amy says. And we're conducting an experiment, and it all went horribly wrong. Something came through. Came through what? Marcus asks. I don't even know that much. An entity? But whatever it is, it's still here somewhere, Amy responds. How could you not know? Don't you have full security access? I ask. No. I have access to almost everything, but there's 2 levels of security beyond my clearance. So what do you suggest we do now? I ask. I'm not sure, she says, wiping her tears away. But if you want to find your crew, we need to find Barksdale. He's in charge. All right, where is he? I ask. Down on the 3rd level, in the hangar. Then let's go, I say. God, it's not that easy, Amy says again, looking at the rifle in my hands. Why not? Like I said, something came through when the power went out. There's several of them, all roaming the 3rd level. What came through? All I know is that the others refer to them as entities. Amy shudders as she recalls the horrors that she has seen. I don't even know how to describe them. I didn't even get a good look, she said. All I did was run for my life. Behind me, I just heard screams. I know it's all not very scientific of me, but I didn't feel like sticking around to learn more. She's right, Marcus says, stopping the train of thought. The things I saw on the monitor, it was crazy. Oh, this is just insane. I'm going to the 3rd level to find this Barksdale guy. Thanks for your help. Wait, Marcus says. I'm sticking with you. If we want to get out of here, I have to find Barksdale, right? Yes, Amy says. But Barksdale's on the 3rd floor. It's too dangerous to go back there. I figure I'll just let them make their own decisions. In the meantime, I start heading back to the command center to get Dennis. Before I get there, I hear their footfalls behind me getting closer. I give Amy a questioning look as she quickly looks away, clearly torn. Neither one of you know your way around here, she says. Looking for Barksdale on your own? It would be suicide. Like it or not, she has a point. Fine. Then let's go get Dennis from the command center and head down together. Damn. Entities! Entities! That's exciting. I'm more worried about Dennis, though. That's so funny. We enter the command center, and I'm happy to see that Dennis regained some of his color. Oh, good. All right, We want to get you some help, Dennis, I tell him. And then we're going to find our crew and get the hell out of here. Yeah, more help would be great, he says. With the way you took an hour to get my shirt off earlier, I'm not letting you touch me again. Wait, Amy says. Maybe one of us should stay here with him. It'll be okay, Dennis says, as he stands to his feet with a grunt. You don't know what's out there, Amy says. I saw them. I saw what they can do. This facility is not safe. Oh no, we have to choose whether to take Dennis with us or not, or Dennis and Amy with us or not. Are there, what can they do? Never mind, she says. Come on, we just need to be careful. Marcus looks a little bit hesitant, but he nods in agreement, and the four of us exit the command center. Okay, so we don't get to choose. We just go. All right. That kind of makes me happy that we don't have the choice. Yeah. So it won't be my fault when he inevitably dies, and Amy dies too. Heading back into the hallway, I look back to the monitors. I take one final look at the screen that shows the wreckage of my logging site, and I feel a pang of sorrow. Then I look at the other monitors, showing live feeds of the facility security cameras. I try to tell myself that I'm not looking for any sign of Amy's creatures, but I can't. That's exactly what I'm doing, and there's no need to pretend otherwise. We head back through the hall towards the elevator. The tension existing between us is like a physical presence. Back to the stainless steel elevator. We step inside the elevator, and those pristine doors close. Inside the elevator, Amy seems to become much more guarded and distant from us. I want to assure her that I mean her no harm, but I'm also not going to put this rifle down. So, you have pretty high clearance for this place? I ask her. That's right. So what kind of experiments are we talking about? What went wrong? When she starts to answer my question, I can tell that it is something of a relief for her to get some of it off her chest. There's been a lot of work on a project taking place here over the last 3 years or so. The purpose is to find out if there's any real viable science behind point-to-point instantiation. What, like teleporting? I ask. Oh my god, Marcus says. I had no idea. I mean, I knew there was some weird stuff here, but nothing this insane. It's really not all that insane, Amy says. We found our first major breakthrough about 9 months ago. We were able to transport a live rat from its cage on level 3 to a small lab in New Mexico. The trip took the rat 5 seconds. Are you kidding me? Dennis says. I can tell that he wants to sound as if he's mocking the idea, but he fails. He's scared. Not at all, Amy said. The problem was that when the rat arrived, its retinas were detached and its intestines were outside of the body. Okay, that makes sense then for the photo that we saw earlier. Did you ever perfect it? Well, about 6 months ago, we successfully made the same experiment. The rat arrived in great health, and this time, in just 3 seconds. Still, one of the things that we needed to tweak in order to make the process completely safe was to figure out how to keep the subject on a straight course. When the matter is being transported, not only are its atoms being unknit and then put back together upon arrival. Unknit? Yeah, deconstructed and translated through space. It's the only way we know how to do it right now. But the issue is, as I said, comes in keeping the deconstructed subject on a straight course to its destination. When the process occurs, we're deforming space-time. We're creating a shortcut through space, and that has risks. Why exactly? Dennis asks. Because there are many more dimensions in space than the 3 we exist on, she explains. There's some evidence that there are as many as 10. Okay, so when you send a rat to New Mexico, it's traveling through another dimension to get there? I ask. Yeah, basically. And besides that, we're trying to get a better understanding of what those other dimensions are capable of. Things that a great deal of the population would be scared of if they knew what we were doing. Hence, all the privacy. Then today, the power went out, and we were right here in the middle of an experiment. Something happened. What? I don't know. She's speaking with the authority of someone who knows what she's talking about. Is that why? So yeah, that is why the creatures are here. What have you seen in these dimensions, if you were able to look? Other worlds? Other tag-marked universes? Where our laws of nature don't apply? She says, not bothering to explain what that means. I'm not cleared for such things, but I do get the reports. What reports? Marcus asks. I'm given access to the results of the tests. In other words, Marcus replies, clearly upset, you guys have been peeking into other dimensions and taking notes on what you see. Can't believe I've wasted my life for this, he murmurs to himself. He looks like he's starting to freak out. Amy's quiet. Her expression indicates that she's waiting to see how I react to all this. It's incredible. It is. It's just incredible. You're impressed by Amy's work. So this is like interdimensional stuff, I ask. In a way, Amy answers. Marcus, on the other hand, is incredulous. I don't want anything to do with this, he says. All this time, I've been working for... He laughs cruelly, and the sound of it makes my blood go cold for a moment. Just a single level beneath my feet, and you assholes have been tearing apart space and time, Marcus continues. When the elevator... I don't think Marcus is going to make it much longer, sanity-wise. His sanity meter is completely full. When the elevator doors open, I can't get out fast enough. The tension is growing way too thick for my liking. Outside of the elevator, we step out into what appears to be a massive industrial area. The carnage waiting for us is unlike anything I'd seen on the upper levels. Blood. The area looks industrial, like everything was built for utility only. But more noticeable than that is all the blood. My God, I've never seen so much blood. Those creatures must have had a filled day. Holy shit, Marcus says, looking like a man who just awoke from a very bad dream. There were more personnel in this area when the experiment went haywire, Amy says, as if the explanation makes it all the better. The research you all do down here had better be worth it, I say. We have to get moving, or we're gonna lose our nerve. Amy, let's focus. Barksdale is in the hangar? I ask. If he's alive, yeah, that's where he'll be. All right then, let's hurry, I say. As far as I can tell, Dennis is doing much better, but I'm beginning to grow tired of trying to keep my fear at bay. Between the blood on the floor and the silence of level 3, and Amy's talk of the lab rats, I'm getting freaked out. Amy, you take the lead. No, I'll go first. God damn it, I'll go first. Fuck her. I can't ask her to take the lead. The four of us start walking ahead, with me at the lead. We stop walking when we come to the remains of what looks like 3 different people. It's hard to tell how many bodies there were because they had been torn to shreds and are distorted. 2 of the bodies look as if they had been fused together. Another man looks to have had his legs welded through the floor. I can see this man's face. He died in abject state of horror, his mouth pried open in an eternal scream. Investigate the bodies? I see half a face pushed down into the floor like putty, barely attached to its separated skull. A single dead eye stares at me. I think I might puke. Behind me, Marcus does just that. As I listen to him heaving, my eyes cannot leave the carnage. There is blood everywhere, a crimson pool flooding the floor. There are hunks of skin and tissue spattered on the wall, and a strand of unspooled intestine that clings to the floor like a dead snake. Dennis steps beside me when he speaks. His voice is soft and flat. What the hell could do that to someone? He asks. Oh, the things I saw, Amy answered. They could do it pretty easily, I think. She looks pale, and I think that she might pass out at any moment. This is a bad decision. I shouldn't have said investigate the bodies. She looks pale, and I think she may pass out at any moment. Tears spill from her eyes, and she is visibly shaken. But she soldiers on, looking back at me, stepping to the side of the gruesome carnage. Her eyes again go to my rifle. She doesn't look very hopeful. You good to go? She asks me. We need to move on, but for some reason I can't take my eyes off the scene. My mind is reeling, trying to process it all. Look around some more. Maybe there's something useful. I've never seen so much blood before. What's even more sickening is the mayhem, the unnatural look of it. I'm familiar with blood spatter. I've hit a deer at 60 miles an hour on the interstate with a load of logs hooked behind me. But many of these bodies have somehow been gently pushed into the wall, through the floor, halfway inside a desk, dead. No explosive power, just squeezed and pressed like clay. Their faces contorted into screams, trying to comprehend what was happening to them. Still, I managed to steady my nerves. I take a few deep breaths, and I'm finally able to continue onward. So we got nothing for looking? We leave the grisly site behind, moving into another equally destroyed area. From what I can tell, the next room was once an open area for experimentation. This place hasn't just been destroyed, it's been physically altered in a way that makes no sense. The girders look to have been warped, their very material distorted and twisted. To my right, a machine that had been catapulted, and it looks to have somehow merged with the wall rather than crashing into it. Beyond these phenomena, there is a standard of violence I was expecting to see. There's a limp arm sticking out from underneath the wreckage, and more blood. I see no signs of an explosion, which makes me wonder, just how did this happen? Seeing this aftermath is sickening enough, but it makes me wonder if Amy saw it while it was happening. Did you see how these people die? Let's stick with materials rather than bodies. I don't want her losing her head. I only caught a glimpse of it, she says. It was like trying to focus your eye on something that was too close. They just started twisting, but not creaking or breaking. It's like these creatures are able to deform matter. She pauses here, and that's when we hear some echo throughout the facility. It comes from behind us, slightly to the right. I'm not sure what it is, but it makes my blood feel like ice. It sounds almost like static from an AM radio. But there's a high-pitched noise beneath it that I can't even start to fathom. What the hell was that? I ask, instantly clapping my hands to my ears. It's one of them, Amy says, her voice a whisper. One of those creatures. That's what they sound like? Dennis asks. I see that he's leaning against the wall again, wincing at the noise. I suddenly realize I have a death grip on the rifle, ready to shoot the next thing I see. Anything between us and them? No, not really, she says. None of the hallways are blocked off by secure doors. Everyone seems to take this as a cue to start moving again. We make our way around the office wreckage, now with new purpose in our step. We barely make it to the other side of the room, approaching a dark hallway, when another high-pitched noise stands out. This one's louder, closer. We all share a terrified look, and I can tell that Amy's on the verge of losing it. I grip the rifle tightly as we head towards the hallway in front of us. How much further to the hangar? I'm not even going to try to kill these things because everybody's dead, so obviously guns don't work. How much further to the hangar? Close. It's just at the end of the hallway, she says. Dennis speaks up, his voice like ice. Why don't we just haul ass then, huh? No one says anything after that, but I can feel the presence of terror around us, pressing in on us, like some new violent gravity. Oh look, claustrophobic area. Super. The small utility hallway is well lit. It looks as if it was designed to only be used by select maintenance workers. What goes on in this area? I ask. I'm looking at Marcus as I ask the question, but he only shrugs in response. She might know, he replies, pointing to Amy. I've never been down here before. It's just a utility hallway, but at the end, there's a maintenance room. There should be a gun or two in there, Amy says. It's also the most direct path to the hangar entrance. As we walk quickly and quietly down the hall, I take a glimpse ahead and feel the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. The lights become more sparsely spaced, and it's impossible to see just how far down the hallway extends into the darkness. This hallway has the occasional trace of bloodshed, but nothing like the main area we came from. We continue further down. Just as I begin to see what looks like a large metal door further ahead, I hear yet another shrill sound. This one sounds further away, but no less demonic. How many of these things did you see? Dennis asks Amy. 3, but that's just what I saw. There could be more. What did they look like? Dennis asked. Yeah, what are we dealing with? I don't even know how to explain them, she says. Monsters. That's the only word I can think of. My mind seems to struggle, trying to understand what I'm seeing. They're big, and they seem to jerk around every few feet or so. They look like they're made of light. That's about all I know for sure. You know, my ex-husband always said, I'd let my work kill me, she continues, seeming unable to stop herself. I mean, I doubt he imagined this exact scenario, but still. As we make our way into the hangar doors, another high-pitched noise rings out, angrier now. Amy stops walking, causing us all to stop and turn to her. We have to do something to slow these things down, she says. No, Marcus snaps. There's no time. We need to distance ourselves and get to the hangar fast. Amy ignores him, deep in thought. There's an old hydraulic door set into the wall right here, she says. It hasn't been used for years, though. She looks to me, pleading her case. Together, we may be able to pull it closed behind us. Keep those things back. Those old hydraulic doors weigh a ton, Marcus said. There's no way it'll work. Roger, Amy says. I never told you my name. Roger, Amy says. What do you think? They'll have a harder time getting at us if those doors are locked. Look, Marcus shouts, turning to me. We need to get to the hangar now. Let's close the doors. I'm gonna trust Amy. Dum-dum. You decided to try and close the doors. Ah, damn it, Marcus says. We don't have time for this. Amy ignores him and starts feeling along the hallway wall for a groove. Dennis and I start looking as well. A minute passes. Then we see a small metal frame that runs from floor to ceiling. Is that it? I ask. Yes, Amy says. I look to the floor and see an old metal track that runs along the frame. All right, let's move it, I say. Amy, Dennis, and I start pulling as hard as we can, but it barely budges an inch. Behind us, the static noise rings out again. My heart seems to stutter, and Marcus lets out a little whine. We're running out of time. We need to go, Marcus screams. Those things are getting closer every second. Help us, Marcus. We're sticking with it. It won't make a difference. Shut up and help us. Then we'll find a way out, I shout. Reluctantly, Marcus walks over and grasps the door. We all groan and strain to pull. It starts inching slowly and then begins moving steadily. Once we get it started, it slides easily. As we near the wall, closing off the hallway behind us, I think we can see the merest glimpse of an oddly illuminated shape in the darkness. It's cut off by the slight thump of the hydraulic door being pushed against the frame in the opposite wall. Amy turns to lock it in place. All right, great. Now let's haul ass, Marcus says. We all turn to get moving again, still feeling unsure about our prospects. The fact that another shrill noise sounds out elsewhere in the facility is not calming. And then there are two of them. It's almost like they're calling to one another. The doors to the hangar sit up ahead like the entrance to some enormous labyrinth. That was successful. Yay, we did it. We bought ourselves a little bit of time. That's good. When we reach the hangar doors, I get a true sense of how impenetrable they are. A computer terminal is mounted to the wall nearby and has a blinking red light. Any idea what this means? I ask. It's an automatic failsafe lock from the lockdown, says Amy. I've never been down here before, Marcus says. If I had known this door was here, I would have opened it earlier. How? Amy asks, the fear in her voice more present than ever. Well, from the command center, he said. You need to override it here. You need to override it there first. Then use this terminal to open the hangar doors. The command center on the second floor? I ask. Yeah. Amy shakes her head and lets out a nervous laugh. Are you kidding? We just pulled that hydraulic door and blocked off the hallway, remember? If we want to get to the hangar, we'll have to go back to the command center, Marcus said. Isn't there another way? Turning to Marcus, Amy replies. Well, there's another elevator, but we'll need to go through the biochem storage. I need to stay with Dennis so he can rest, I said. You two go. You know the way around this place, and you know the controls, Marcus. All right, fine, but we'll need to be armed. I don't trust Marcus. All right, Marcus, you son of a bitch. I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to give you the gun just because I don't think Amy's handled so many guns. Maybe she has. I don't know. Maybe she's a crack shot. Not trying to be weird about it, but Marcus, there you go. He's kind of psycho too. Or starting to go psycho. I feel bad. I shouldn't have done that. I hand Marcus the rifle and he turns to go. Amy gives me a concerned look. God damn it, game. You always have to do a jab, don't you? But follows along behind him. Once Amy and Marcus make it a good distance down the hallway, Dennis lets out a nervous laugh. And then there were two, he says. Dennis looks better, but he still needs to use the wall to stay standing. Didn't Amy say that there were guns in the emergency kits in the maintenance rooms near the hangar doors? I ask. Yeah, I think so, Dennis says, looking exhausted. I look ahead and see the door to the right reads maintenance. Might as well give it a try. I go to the door and try to open it. I find that it's locked. Push it with your shoulder? I give it a hard shove, but it doesn't budge. I'm about to try again, and that's when I hear a dry choking sound from just down the hallway. It's barely audible, but it's not my imagination. My first thought is that it's one of those things, one of the monsters. But after calming my nerves and reassessing, it sounds more like a person. I think about just how angry and on edge Amy was when she turned to leave, as well as how scared Marcus had looked. Alarm bells in my head, and before I know it, I'm heading back down the hall, away from the hangar doors. All right, stay here. I'll be right back. I whisper over my shoulder to Dennis. See if you can figure out how to get in that maintenance room. Where are you going? He asks. I don't bother answering him, as I bound through the door where Amy and Marcus went. Uh-oh, what happened? Oh no, man. I wanted all four of us to get out. Oh no. Oh no. I mean, Dennis making it out is priority. As I enter the biochem room and I start walking between the massive silos, I wonder what classified chemicals could be inside them. I am fully expecting one of Amy's creatures to come flying out from the intersection of the halls ahead. I think I hear something, a skittering noise, like something moving quickly. I run ahead so fast that I almost trip over two people in a life or death struggle. My mind tries to process what I'm seeing, but it makes no sense. None at all. Marcus is on the floor and Amy is pinned beneath him. He has a rifle at her throat, pushing her down into the floor, choking her with it. Her face is turning purple. I made the wrong mistake, wrong choice. And her eyes look up as they may pop out of her head. Marcus sees me coming out of the hallway, but he acts as if what he's doing is perfectly normal. Stop him. I start rushing. Oh, maybe I should have said, what the hell are you doing? I start rushing towards him before I really know what I'm doing. I bring my fist down hard across the bridge of his nose, and I'm rewarded with a sick cracking sound. He cries out and falls to the ground, looking at me as if he doesn't understand why I'm punching him. On the floor, Amy clutches at her neck and gasps for breath. I start to fear that I was a moment too late, just as I see that the rifle had been thrown across the floor. Marcus seems to notice this at the same moment as I do. Hit Marcus again. I deliver a surprisingly strong blow with my right hand, clipping his chin from my awkward position. I'm in the process of planting my knee in his chest to hold him down when his left foot comes out of nowhere, landing hard. The kick catches me squarely in the ribs, knocking the breath out of me. What the hell are you doing? He yells at me. By killing her, I'm saving us. All of this was her fault. I sense that he truly believes this, but if that's the case, then why not just shoot her rather than strangle her with a rifle? The answer is simple. We would have heard the gunshot, and I, or one of those things, would have come running. He wanted to kill her quietly. And then what? Would he have done the same to Dennis and me? It seems fitting, really. When we first came upon Marcus, he held a gun on us. I'd been so relieved to see another human being that I had underestimated just how unhinged he was. Marcus and I both dove for the rifle, still laying on the floor, please, and start wrestling for possession. But I'm not confident I'll come away with it. As we struggle, he starts inching the muzzle of the gun towards my face, a position I did not want to be in. I start pushing back hard. But if this thing accidentally fires, I'm not sure where I'd prefer the bullet to go, especially in this room full of chemical tanks. Oh man, I hate this. Oh, towards the tanks. Everybody's gonna die if I do it towards the tanks. Marcus will only die if I do it towards Marcus. I feel for Marcus. I really do. MIT, probably mathematics genius, like basically turned into a custodian for this place. That just shows the level of people that they were hiring for this, like beyond CIA black site. I'm sorry, Marcus. Sorry, not sorry, you're an asshole. I grunt as I push the muzzle towards his face, realizing he is literally looking down the barrel of the gun. Marcus ducks his head out of the way. This makes him lose his leverage, allowing me to yank the gun from his grip. I get to my feet as quickly as I can, swinging the rifle back on him. For a moment, I think I've knocked him out, but his eyes just flutter and he looks at me as if I've betrayed him. Her people. It was them that did this. She deserves to die. She did this. I look to Amy, wishing I could help her. I'm relieved to see that she's managing to draw in a few breaths. Her legs move as she tries to push herself into seating position. You wouldn't know. You didn't work here under their security. You don't know what it was like to, Marcus says. He surprised me by lunging towards me, leaping from the floor like a human projectile. I don't have time to aim carefully. I have time to react. Just try to dodge. I don't want to hurt him. Try to dodge. His aim is poor and his strength is failing, so I dodge him easily. I don't want to have a gunshot go off and alert those creatures that were here. Make a hard jab of the butt of the rifle, striking him in the chest. Something crunches, and he lets out a whoosh of air. He crumples for a moment and then goes to his knees. He roars in pain on the floor. Only after a few moments, I realize that they're not purely screams of pain. This bastard is calling them, calling for those creatures to come for us. This place is evil, along with everyone involved, he wails on the floor. If you're taking her side, then you deserve to die too. If you want to stop me, you better do it now, you coward. The rage in his eyes at Amy, as well as towards me for stopping him, makes me think that he'll deliver on his threat. I raise the rifle again, every urge in my body wanting to make sure that he doesn't come back to bite us for the fourth time. But I'm not a violent man. I could easily not kill him and just leave him behind. Let Marcus live. Just like when I could barely shoot earlier as he was coming at me, I can't bring myself to deliver a killing shot. I ignore him and lean down to Amy. Are you okay? I ask. She nods slowly. Have to go, she says, her voice raspy. They'll be here any minute. It's just too much noise. I have to hold her arm so she can get to her feet. We start forward, and then I think of Dennis. We should go back to the hangar doors, I say. I can't just leave Dennis there. There's no time, Amy said. You need to come with me up to the command center, now. We'll be back here soon. You're all dead anyway, Marcus shrieks. If they don't get you, I will. He laughs maniacally after saying this, hooting like a madman. As if in response, a high-pitched noise tears through the hallway. I seem to feel it in my bones. They're following the noises now, Amy says, her voice still weak. She takes off away from Marcus, presumably towards the elevator she had mentioned moments ago. I follow her. As we move out, I hear Marcus slowly push himself off the ground and stumble off, slipping between the tanks and disappearing. We'll see him again, I'm sure. We start running after the first few strides. If he kills Dennis, I'm going to be pissed. Another noise sounds out. It sounds mechanical, but at the same time, it also reminds me of the recordings I've heard in whale songs. A sound of metallic creaking and crashing echoes through the door I came in through. They've reached the hydraulic door we pulled, Amy says, confirming what I'm thinking. Dennis! No! The sound gets louder and it's clear they're struggling with it, which is good. We have a bit more time. I speed up my step to follow Amy as she leads to the other elevator. She's panting furiously, but pushes on. I can hear something rattling in her breath, likely the result of Marcus's attack. This makes me imagine how his cold, uncaring eyes must have looked staring down at her as he tried to deliver her to death. How she's still forging on is beyond me. I'm sorry about Marcus, I say. It's not your fault, she interrupts. When you handed him the gun, you didn't know he'd use it on me. I just hope we can find a way to survive this mess. We'll be fine, don't worry. Reassurance. I'm not so sure, she says, her eyes fixed straight ahead. I'm not sure I can blame her. I just wanted to say something encouraging, I guess. We finally came to the elevator at the end of the row of silos. The elevator door slides open slowly. At that moment, we hear something behind us. Strangled, sort of whistling sound. We step inside and turn around to face the biochem room. Thankfully, we've been given a few moments to spare. The elevator doors remain open for 3 seconds before they start to slide closed again. In those 3 seconds, I see a large shape floating towards us. A phosphorescence like white glow outlines an impossible shape. Behind it, I see another shape that's also entering the biochem room, and another. The third one breaks away from the other two, taking a quick right. It moves with eerie speed. That in the direction that Marcus had gone. Honestly, the thought of them hunting him down didn't bother me in the slightest. Amy is pressing the button to close the elevator doors over and over, but they stay open for what seems like an eternity. I curse whoever designed these damn doors. Hide inside the elevator. Amy and I slide ourselves up against the side of the elevator, trying to avoid being seen. But I can't help peeking around the corner. I hold the rifle steadily, ready to fire, and that's when I see them in the clear light for the first time. I can see their features, the shape of their colors, but my mind can't quite process it all. Nothing about them makes sense. My eyes tried to see a squid, but that's not what these things are. They're gray and white, and they seem to be nothing more than squirming light. Their appendages are neither legs nor tentacles, but somewhere in between. They don't walk on these appendages, but they use them to glide. They move like ghosts and seem to jerk every few feet or so. But I'm pretty sure that this jerking effect is not a result of them moving, but my mind's inability to understand how they're moving exactly. It's also more than their appearance that makes a mockery of reality. The light around them seems to bend inward, as if the space within the room has to reshape itself for their existence. That peculiar effect on the air makes their movements seem like something moving underwater, only faster. They screech in unison as they rush towards the elevator. They'll be inside here in another few seconds. I check the rifle and see that the ammo is diminishing. I have to start saving my shots. I'm gonna have to be choosy. Don't shoot. They keep advancing, even though I know the doors may not close in time. I manage to keep my cool and avoid firing off any more rounds. My finger itches to pull the trigger, but I resist. I'm not even sure if the gun would affect them. Finally, the elevator door closes. The creatures wash against the other side of the door, making an electrical noise and crying out in anger. The tips of their spider-like appendages poke through the wall of the elevator door, but for some reason they can't get all the way through. Maybe the stainless steel? Perhaps. Amy screams at this and curls into a ball at the far corner of the elevator, crying. I say nothing to her. I just cling to the rifle, hoping that those creatures don't find Dennis as he waits for the hangar doors where I left him. For his sake and ours, we need to get them open. Now. Boom. End of chapter 3. Fantastic. Freaking Marcus, man. Unbelievable. I mean, we knew, pretty much. The blunt truth. We told Dennis he'd probably be fine. Yeah, he was fine for now. Slowed them down. 35% of players sided with Amy on pulling the... Really? Only 35? Wow. Interesting. Wow. Our choice is a little more rare this time. Who to trust? You and 31% of players gave the gun to Marcus. Yeah, I should have not trusted Marcus. Murder and mercy. You and 58% players left Marcus alive. Yeah. An hour later, 68% conserve your bullets for later. Yeah, that seemed like the good choice. All right. Chapter 4. Let's do it. The ride up the elevator is tense. I take a series of deep breaths, doing everything I can to stay in control. Amy had gotten back on her feet, but her head is pressed against the elevator wall as she suppresses a series of sobs. I find myself trying to remember the way those creatures looked, but my mind seems to shudder at the effort. I've seen something that is impossible, a mockery of what I know is real. This fills me with terror that dwarfs everything else I've ever felt in my life since discovering this facility. I try to focus my mind on something else and remember Marcus's threats. I wonder if we'll see Marcus again, I say, mostly to myself. Do you think Marcus got away from those things? Amy asks. I sort of hope not. Probably did. Probably. She opens her mouth as if to say something, but her mouth simply hangs open. He's gone, I assure her. Don't worry about him. We have bigger problems to worry about right now. But honestly, I'm speaking more to myself than to her. So, how did you end up here, I say? She gives up a nervous chuckle and shrugs. I used to work with the Pentagon. It was some pretty upper echelon stuff, and some I still can't discuss. I assume this place was even more upper echelon, I said. This place isn't even on the scale, she answered. My other job was a cakewalk compared to this. Then why stay? I asked. Because the money is ridiculous. I have a 13-year-old daughter already talking about Harvard. You do the math. Harvard, huh? That's ambitious. Oh, I know. She's a force of nature. Her dad ran off when she was 3. So, for a long time, it's just been her and me. Amy pauses before continuing softly. What if I never see? Her voice breaks off. The words too terrible to say. Her eyes fills with tears. The elevator comes to a stop, the slight ding of it interrupting the moment. Amy hastily wipes her eyes and wastes no time in getting back inside the command center. Easy enough? How are we going to get back though? We have to go back down the elevator. I ready the rifle, suddenly certain that there are more of those creatures waiting for us in the hallway on the 2nd level. But the way is clear, allowing us to haul ass to the command center. Once again, I find myself staring at the screen that shows my ruined worksite. Okay, Amy says, typing commands rapidly. It can't be that hard. I keep peeking over my shoulder, my senses feeling as if the monsters are sneaking up on us, mere inches away. Then I think of Dennis and wonder how he's faring back on level 3. Is he safe? I look back to the screens and see that Amy has finally found what she's looking for. A prompt on the screen says override of hangar doors and all level 3 locks required clearance code. Amy types in a number with shaking fingers and the screen goes black for a moment. The moment the words override confirmed come up on the screen, Amy jumps from the chair and heads out of the room. We have to be quick, she says. We have exactly 20 minutes to open those hangar doors. All right, then let's get moving. I follow her out of the command center and bound back down the hallway towards the same elevator that brought us here. Amy punches the elevator button and the doors slide open. Okay, so we're taking this same elevator back to the biochem room? I ask. Those creatures are still down there. It's the only way back down, she says. The other way is blocked by those hydraulic doors we pulled. Hopefully the creatures left. Yeah, hopefully. Neither of us say anything else as we share a look of immense dread. We step back into the elevator and head back down into the biochem room on level 3. Fuck. Fuck. As the elevator doors open, we peer out, looking to see if the creatures are still in the area, but it's all clear. When Amy looks at me, her eyes are clear and strong. Marcus wasn't entirely wrong, Amy says. We start walking back towards the elevator doors. About what? I ask. About how I'm partially to blame for all this. I mean, you are part of the system, so yeah. I mean, you are, in a way. Marcus was just an IT guy who seemed not to have known what was going on. I think to myself, Amy had at least some knowledge. It's a highly advanced research facility, I say, doing amazing but risky stuff. So yeah, I mean, you're partially to blame for working here, but I understand the dedication. She closed her eyes and pressed her temples as I say this. Now that we have a moment, can you at least tell me a bit more about what it is that goes on here? I ask. Are you familiar with the Large Hadron Collider in Switzerland? Yeah, I've heard the phrase, but that's about it, I say. It's a powerful particle accelerator, she explains. Right now, they're using it to try and create what's called dark matter. It's theorized that dark matter actually makes up the majority of the universe, but parts of the universe are very different from ours. My guess is that people from the LHC will probably create their first dark matter particle in about 2018 or 2019. Here in this facility, we're able to create one almost 10 years ago. It was the key to our research. Does this have something to do with those things? Obviously it does. They opened a hole and something came through. What does this matter do? We use dark matter to assist with instantaneous transfer of a subject, but we have yet to perfect it or understand why it works. Okay, so you're saying that it lets you gain access to different dimensions, I ask. That's the theory, she says. During the point-to-point transfer, The subjects are gone for about 3 to 6 seconds. There's no way to see or measure their presence, but they exist somewhere. From what we can tell, they exist in a kind of void. And you did this with people. We have sent human subjects through. Almost all of them returned successfully. I make an involuntary grimace. Almost. There was one man, Dr. Kana, who didn't return. We didn't know where. She trails off, taking a moment to collect herself. No, we saw that picture of them turned inside out with their guts out, and that's just symptoms of traveling. Unsuccessful travel. Sorry I asked, I said, feeling my mind start to bend inward again. As we continue to walk between the silos, we pass the area that we left Marcus behind, but he's long gone. Maybe he found a way out. I realize that we are walking very close together between the silos, perhaps trying to create the illusion of safety. We reach the exiting connection to the hangar doors, where Dennis hopefully still is. Yeah, Marcus is long gone. My guts clench and my heart hammers in my chest as we open the doors and walk through. I lift the rifle, but at first it seems as if there's nothing waiting for us. And that's when I see the glowing, hulking shape to my left, closing in fast. No. No. Marcus. Or Dennis, not Marcus. Fuck Marcus. Dennis, where are you? The creature is about 10 feet away and coming quickly. So I do the first thing that comes to mind. I drop to the ground, making myself a smaller target, and raise the rifle. I'm not sure if I should just unload on the bastard or try to choose with my shots and weaken it, or at least slow it down. Shoot to weaken. My shots cause the entity's milky white frame to jerk to the floor. It flounders, its ghost-like tentacles writhing with rage as it cries out at me. It seems to turn and jerk away, parts of it appearing to disappear. Appearing and disappearing every few feet. It moves down the hall and out of sight. That's nice. Hell yeah. I look quickly around for others, but there's only Amy. She looks at where the monsters went with wide eyes. Her face is pale, and I wonder if she, like me, is able to fill her mind trying to retreat. Come on, let's go find Dennis and get through these hangar doors, I say. Amy glances at her watch and nods. We're already down to 6 minutes. We turn to the hangar doors, and I'm a little disgusted with myself because the bloody scene that so shocked me before now seems mild. Amy goes to work on the computer console at the side of the doors. She starts punching in the keys before saying, This is going to take some time. I thought you already unlocked it, I say. I did, she says. But for this door, there's still security permissions that I need to hack. Marcus would have only known how to do this. She trails off, and I decide to let her work. Suddenly, something slams into me. I feel my feet leave that better not be Marcus. Feet leave the floor, and I'm literally thrown across the concrete. I look up in time to see one of the creatures. It's apparently in no hurry to attack me again, focusing on Amy instead. She's not armed. I need to come up with a plan to get this thing away from her so she can focus on getting that door open. It raises one of its flickering appendages, making me certain that its makeup is of pure light and energy. I could easily take a shot with my rifle, but my mind again goes to how much remaining ammo I have left. The only other thing I can think of is to get it to chase me and lead it away from the room somewhere. Distract the monster and run. Save your bullets. Hey! I yell. Right here! Come and get me! I'm the one that shot your buddy. It turns to me, and I am again faced with staring at something that has no business in this world, or even in this reality. Its body gives off a sort of glow around the central part, a bulbous core that is branched off into 2 humps, very much like a spider. Again, I sense that this visual information is not accurate, but it's the best my simple mind can do to make sense of this impossible creature. It starts lurching towards me and letting out a shriek of agony that makes my ears feel like they're going to explode. Now that I'm sure it's coming after me, I take off running and head down the hallway we haven't been. I find myself in an industrial-looking area, and I am pleased to find that the monster has followed me through. Where is Dennis? He must have hidden because they've been patrolling through there. The room seems to be an assortment of old pipes and tanks. I assume that some run further down into the areas of the facility. With the creature on my tail, I dash into the maze of metal, hoping to lose it. It's definitely having a harder time squeezing through than I am, and that slows it down. Of course, the room is not a cage of any kind. The thing is still headed towards me, shredding through pipes as it rages. I notice that sometimes it's breaking the steel girders, but other times it seems like it's somehow merging or changing them. Pipes that were separated are now connected together in a way that makes my head hurt. I finally get a good amount of distance between myself and the creature. I think it's lost my trail. I need to get back to those hangar doors. There's not much time before they close shut. But if I make a sound, that creature will be on my heels again. Hide and escape quietly. Slow and steady. I take care to stay silent, twisting myself through some of the pipes and making my way back towards the door I entered through. The creature doesn't seem to pick up on this. I see it glowing back as I come around. It lets out a static scream that makes my insides feel like jelly. But I don't even look back. I slide quietly through the rusted obstacle course and tiptoe back to the hangar doors. Where's Dennis? I'm gonna keep asking. Where is he? Is he coming back? I hope so. I burst back into the large room and I see Amy still working on the computer terminal by the hangar doors. Are you okay? I ask Amy. I can clearly see her battling for control of her faculties. Steeled determination wins out and she gives a grim nod. Any sign of where Dennis went? I ask, hoping she hasn't noticed his body somewhere. No, she replies. It's then that I realize I have no idea how many rounds I have remaining in this rifle. This isn't a model I'm familiar with, outside of some deer hunting. I'm not much of an expert on firearms. Still, I am able to locate the chamber easily, and I see that there's 4 rounds left. Oh, it's not great, but I guess it could be worse. How are we on time? I ask her. 2 minutes. I'm going as fast as I can, she says. Amy does her best to focus on the keyboard, but there's still no sign of Dennis. Before I have time to look around, a screeching sound erupts from the other end of the room. I bring the rifle up in a shooter's stance, and I turn around. With the hangar doors right behind me, no sign of Dennis, and a closing window of time, I have to be confident. Yet, when 2 monsters come around the corner, my body wants to shut down. The appendages seem to jump in time and space, reaching out for a split second, independent of the body, and then disappearing back to where they came from. It turns and screeches at me, its glowing tentacles snaking out from its body. My knees are trembling uncontrollably. Behind me, Amy shrieks. I feel my body losing control, my mind sliding into the abyss of sanity. I pull myself back from the brink. I've got to stay in control. Turn away. I only have 4 shots left. I could stand here and use my last 4 shots, but what good would that do? So instead, I turn and face the hangar doors. How much longer before these things open? Not long, she says, furiously typing at the terminal as commands flood the screen. I doubt it, I think to myself. Can I do anything to help? I ask. She doesn't answer, deep in concentration. I turn back around and see a looming shape appear. The creature comes around the corner, screaming out that static-like sound. I step away from Amy and the hangar doors and towards the monster, ready to defend her. I ready my rifle, but the creature wastes no time. It makes a jerking motion towards me, and there's a sharp pain in my chest as it collides with me. Or through me? It's kind of hard to tell. My instinct is to try and grapple hold of this thing, but then I realize I don't even know if that'll work. Try to get away. Fuck! I feel like I'm losing control. Not that I ever had control. I figure I'd rather not learn more about the physical nature of this thing right now. I tuck and roll away from it, and then stand up to face it. With a scream of defiance, I raise the rifle and put a round into its core. The shot lands dead center and the light inside of it flickers almost violently. It falls back against the wall, issuing a hiss of its telltale static noise. It then jerks away and retreats, at least for now. Another terror appears as if out of nowhere, screaming at me with its high-pitched whine. It bounds forwards, charging in its strange sporadic way. I aim the rifle, intended to take this one in the core too. I take several shots, but it's still coming at me. It slams into me and I realize I only have 1 bullet left. Oh, save that for yourself. On contact, the wind is knocked out of my lungs and the back of my head strikes the floor. But neither of these things is as alarmed as the fact that the beast is on top of me. Its exterior is like a seashell that has been pounded by the surf for so long that it's lost all its edges and ridges. But the grip it tries to capture me with is pure violence. I feel those light-soaked appendages start to wrap around me. I raise the rifle, knowing I only have one shot left. The weight of the monster is erratic. One moment I feel weightless. The other I feel like I'm going to be crushed. I push upwards with the rifle to aim, but it's overpowering me. I'm not sure if I'll be able to get an effective shot off. I see the core of its body, a spider-like shape, connected to the rest by thin white strings of tissue. I know I'll be dead within seconds unless I can manage a shot, but I don't know where to aim. This thing has already survived for so long. Shoot the center or shoot the tentacle? Shoot the tentacle. Maybe that'll free us. The creature is seconds away from tearing off my shoulder. I have to stop it now. I grunt as I try to angle the rifle in the direction of the beast's formless limbs. The appendages begin tugging down the barrel, and it's at that moment that I pull the trigger, unleashing my final shot. The shot aggravates it enough to win me some breathing room. I saved my shoulder, but this thing is still alive and kicking. Thank God I saved a bullet from earlier. Yeah, thank you, game. But then I see the creature extend its tentacle in a violent whip-like motion, scampering away while making that static screeching sound. The creature disappears into thin air and reappears a few feet from me, retreating. With a shudder and a cry of desperation, I get to my feet just in time to see the monster head in the direction of the biochem room. Amy looks over at me from her terminal at the hangar doors, looking petrified. I manage to help myself up when I see another figure nearing us. But to my relief, I realize it's Dennis with a gun! Dennis with the gun. Hell yeah. Dennis, you okay, boss? He asks. But his eyes aren't on me. They're looking at the creatures, trying to understand exactly what he'd just seen. About 15 minutes ago, I heard the door to the maintenance room unlock, Dennis says, pointing to the room that I tried to bust my way into earlier. Oh, Amy says. When I overrid the command center, it unlocked all the small doors down here, including that maintenance room. I went inside and hid, Dennis continues. And while I was waiting for... Don't talk to me, shoot the things. Waiting for you to come back, I found a massive trunk. There were a few guns in it, so I grabbed this one, he says, patting his shotgun. Hell yeah, he's got a shotty, baby. I'm glad you're safe, Dennis. Yeah. Thanks, boss, he says. Me too. She doesn't break eye contact with the panel. Almost done, she replies. Suddenly, without warning, a shot ricochets off the wall behind Amy's head. Startled, we look around and confused. Did Dennis's gun go off? And then another shot blasts near us again. We all drop to the floor. I look around, wondering who or what could possibly be shooting at us. What do you think it is? Those creatures don't do anything that sounds remotely like gunfire. And then I see him. Marcus! I should have killed that bastard when I had the chance. He has a rifle, and he's walking towards us. An insane look in his eyes. You all deserve to die, he screams, unleashing another round, and I hear it whiz by my head. Thank God he's a bad shot. Dennis doesn't hesitate. He stands up and shoots at Marcus, causing him to retreat. How much longer, Amy? Almost there, she says quietly. She makes a few final key presses and says, done. The door opens with the noise of hydraulics and whooshing air. With Marcus pinned down by Dennis's gunfire, we start moving towards the doors. At the moment, another creature jerks into existence around the corner, between us and Marcus. Shit, Marcus says, and starts unloading into it. But then he learns the same lesson we did. This only slows the creature down. Marcus gives us one last look, and then turns and runs off in the other direction. Dennis, Amy, and I climb up ahead through the doors. I see her look longingly at the maintenance room Dennis took the shotgun from. You get into the hangar, Dennis says. I'll get you some more firepower. Satisfied with the plan, Amy heads through the door. We scramble inside, finally inside the hangar. Dennis approaches from behind, holding several guns, looking like a kid who grabbed a handful of a Halloween candy. Amy reaches out for a 9mm with one hand. Dennis turns to me and holds out a shotgun and a handgun for me to choose from. Both look deadly. The shotgun looks more powerful, but the handgun will probably be more precise. I love shotguns, but Dennis has got us on lockdown with the shotgun. And with the shotgun, I don't know if it's like a 8-shell shotgun or whatever. I don't know. It's probably not a double barrel sawed-off shotgun or some shit like that, like a video game shotgun. So, I don't know. Maybe I should have taken the shotgun. I select the handgun. I am comforted by the way it seems to fit perfectly in my shaky grip. Okay, that's reassurance from the game. I feel like the game does that. Like, when you make a decision, it'll be like, or it'll be like, you did the right thing. There are more creatures coming. As many as a dozen. A dozen? They're floating down the hall quickly. Their tentacles slithering. We still have to make it out of here with that asshole. No. The way their light seems to mingle together is almost beautiful. Close the door! I yell at Amy. She dashes to another terminal mounted on the inside of the hangar doors and tries desperately to close them. It's not working, she says with tears in her eye. The terminal's disabled. Dennis looks through the open doors, readying himself to shoot first monsters that are nearest to us. Should we try and slow down a few or just run for it, he asks, his gun at the ready. Just run for it. Good idea, says Amy. With that, we turn around and sprint out into the hangar floor. Oh, what a crazy sequence. It isn't stopping yet, though. The room is enormous. It's so large, to call it a room seems silly. A large concrete floor stretches out below an expanse, lofted ceiling. The area is mostly empty, except for one side, which has rows and rows of metal barrels. Back on the far wall is a lit area that seems to expose more rooms, labs, and machinery. Also, in the repair hangar, I can see some kind of chamber with control center. Dennis and I follow Amy across the hangar floor. Behind us, a series of rough, slithering sounds tell us that the creatures have made their way into the hangar. From somewhere up ahead, a large buzzing noise or loud buzzing noise sounds out. It reminds me of a slight buzzing noise I heard in the forest, a noise that got me into all this trouble in the first place. I look ahead and see that the far back of the hangar, a bright red light is flashing. I'm sorry, I'm starting to lose my reading ability. Holy shit. Blah, 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 blah. Maybe I should take a break, but I can't take a break. I've been going at this straight for 2 hours and 26 minutes, and I love it. There's a small hatch or door below the light. The hatch is open, and I can see a shape inside it. I can barely make out the figure of a man standing there, holding an industrial microphone. As soon as I see him, I hear his huge amplified voice. It blares down over the intercom system, and he sounds pissed. I don't know who the hell you are, he says, but this is a government facility on lockdown, and there are protocols too. Oh, shit. I assume the curse coincides with the exact moment he sees the creatures. They are making their way through the hangar doors. There are maybe like 20 feet behind us. There are maybe 20 feet between us and the creatures. I act instinctively, firing twice as the handgun comes alive in my hand. One shot goes into the core of one monster, causing it to jerk backwards. Another shot slows down another. The accuracy I get with the 9mm is amazing. Amy and Dennis take the cue and start firing as well. The floor becomes littered with swirling white fluid from the wounded creature's body, but they're not slowing down. The alarms keep shrieking behind us. When I turn back to see if anything has changed back there, I trip over my feet. Good job, Butterfeet. I hit the ground hard in an almost comic fashion, sliding several feet across the floor. From the ground, I see that we have managed to turn back 4 of them, but I also see that my estimation of a dozen is off. Oh no, there's at least 20 of them. They're sick and dim lit, sinister and gloomy. Their appendages seem to bind together as they come forward. My only hope of survival is that man in the far doorway somehow shuts the hangar doors. His voice comes blaring over the intercom again, broken by a booming noise of gunfire that we are laying down. Run there! Towards the isolation chamber! I'm not sure how much time we have. I realize that I can sprint ahead of Amy and Dennis, or I can hang back and give them cover. Cover the others. Go inside, where that guy is, I say. I'll make sure we don't have any of those things right on our tails. I'll hold him back for a while. I know it sounds macho, but it also feels like the right thing to do. Thank you, game. See, it does. It reassures you if you've made a good choice. I have to at least try to give us some kind of chance of escape. So as Amy and Dennis run through the doors, I blast at the next thing that I see moving. All I get for my troubles is that static-like hiss and a high-pitched whistling sound. I'm able to beat them back for a bit. forcing them to scatter. Each flickering of light is a small victory, if nothing else. I'm buying Amy and Dennis time. When I'm certain there's nothing more I can do, I turn and run. I hustle quickly, catching up to Amy and Dennis, who stopped and turned to provide me with covering fire. There, Amy says, pointing to the small door where the man was standing earlier. The swarm is less than 15 feet away now, so furious that they're pushing through one another to get to us. I raise the handgun and fire, taking my time to aim. I hit one of the spider-like parts of its body. I fire again, this time taking one in its core. I place 2 more rounds into the creature, eventually causing it to move backwards. We're in the middle of the hangar floor now, with the isolation chamber ahead and the monsters behind. Besides me, Dennis also fires. The kick of the gun jolts him, probably as a result of him being weakened from blood loss. His shot lands true though, causing a jerking, stumbling, and flickering of its light. We're almost in, Amy yells. As we get close to the door, we hope will save us. Tell Dennis and Amy to get in first. Get inside, I tell Amy and Dennis, motioning them to get in, moving with my gun. I open the door and give Dennis a push towards it. He resists, more eager, trying to take down another one of the beasts before he makes it into the safety, but he eventually gives in. I wait a beat to make sure Amy's inside too. I fire off a few rounds on the creature that are still heading towards us, hoping to slow them down. When Amy and Dennis clear the door, I nearly dash inside, but then I feel something hot seep into my back. Roger! Dennis yells. The pain in my back is so immense that I barely notice the fact that I'm being lifted from the floor. I look down and see that one of the creatures is using its flowing arm to grab me by my waist, its tentacles wrapping around me. It lifts me into the air, as if presenting me as a trophy to its friends. I try to focus, attempting to angle my arm in a way that'll allow me to aim the handgun and place a bullet into its body. But it's shaking me violently, and its body parts are appearing and disappearing in a way that makes no sense. Another oddity of its structure. I can literally do nothing more than hang there like a rag doll, hoping to be saved. As it continues to hoist me up, screeching its approval, Dennis comes back out of the room and fires off a shot. The bullet catches the monster on the underside of its core, sending it backwards and causing it to freeze for a moment. It releases me, and I hit the ground, dropping my gun again, and finding myself unable to breathe. I feel slightly dizzy, but that fades when I see Dennis is still standing outside of the door. He's firing into the beast like a madman, and he doesn't see the one to his left coming along the other edge of the wall. Push him out of the way! Push him out of the way! I try to dash towards Dennis to push him out of the way, but there's not enough time. The creature jerks out of existence and then reappears right behind him. No! By the time Dennis turns to see the creature coming, he had already drawn several appendages back to strike. Dennis tries to raise his gun, but is knocked away by one of the great game. What are you doing? The second tentacle strikes Dennis and is spun around, thrown off balance by the attack. Dennis catches himself before falling. A third tentacle wraps around Dennis's forearm, and I could see it squeezing, tightening instantly. The tip of the appendage passes clean through his hand, its blood-soaked tip poking out through his palm. Dennis' face grimaces with pain as he tries to wrench his arm free, but the creature's tentacle has his hand speared like a nail through wood. In a moment of dark clarity, I realize that I can free him with a clean shot to the monster's tentacle, but it would likely mean blowing Dennis's hand off. Dennis! I yell over the creature's high-pitched static sound. Can you get free? I have a shot, maybe. No, Dennis gasps as the creature tosses him around by the hand like a puppet. Don't shoot! I can get free! I can't tell if he's right, but the other monsters are starting to encircle him. I need to act fast. No. No, he gasps. Don't shoot. I can get free. Do I trust him or do I shoot his fucking hand off? I can't lose Dennis. Dennis is our beautiful big boy. God damn it. I'll trust you, Dennis. I'm trusting you. Dennis is fighting hard, doing everything he can to bring the gun around with his good hand. He's screaming as he tries to tear his hand away, screaming in both fury and desperation. This only seems to anger the creature, which then swats Dennis with another one of its tentacles, opening up a deep gash across his cheek. His skin peels back, and his eyes go wide with shock. The creature drops him to the ground, as if playing with him. And then the floor and the space around Dennis seem to warp. I fucked up. The bottom quarter of his body seems to disappear before I realize it's being merged with the floor. And at that moment, I know it's over. 3 others swarm him, surrounding what remains of his fallen body. I don't even hear Dennis scream. There's just a frenzy of crackling, sickling, wailing sounds. After that, there's nothing else. Fury, sorrow, and absolute rage surge through my shoot Dennis's hand off. I trusted you, you bastard. I trusted you. Fury, sorrow, and absolute rage surged through my heart. I grab my gun as the remaining beasts come towards me. They'll kill me, but I don't care. This is war as far as I'm concerned. Amy grabs me from behind and pulls me hard inside. I try fighting her off, but she's persistent, and part of my mind knows she's right. Don't be an idiot, she yells to me. She practically throws me through the doorway. As I fall, I hear her fire off 2 shots before slamming the door closed behind her. I watch blearily as she punches a few buttons on the control pad on the wall. This is followed by the metallic click as the door locks again. We're safe in the chamber. But Dennis is gone. I hate it. Blow off his hand. Blow off his hand. God damn it. Blow off his hand. Things were going too well. Our poor boy. Our poor boy. We are now inside a large reinforced chamber of sorts. I don't even care anymore. Dennis is dead. Nothing matters. No, I'm joking. We gotta keep Amy alive now. There's our new focus. Almost like the inside of a submarine, but Dennis was innocent. Man, Amy's not. It's not the same, god damn it. Near us is the door, shut tight, far away from us, along the back wall, and all sorts of controls and monitors. It seems clear that this metal door is impenetrable, at least to them. I'm fairly sure that they aren't getting in. Dennis, I say. I'm sorry, Amy says. I'm sorry for pulling you back, but you were walking to your death out there. I know, I say, but it doesn't make it any easier. I couldn't quite see, but it looked like you may have had a shot. Why didn't you take it? Amy, fuck you, game. You asshole. Using your characters to berate your players. Holy shit, game. You are audacious. I thought he would get away. He told me not to shoot. Roger, Amy says. My God, I'm sorry. He's dead, I say, hoping that speaking the words will help me understand just what happened. I came through all this to try and save him, and he's dead. How did this happen? Why did I listen to him? Out of nowhere, an image of Dennis pumping his fist after winning a game of pool pops into my head. I can't reconcile that happy image with what I just saw. I feel myself zoning out. I want to just give up, but I'm stubborn. And the fact that Dennis is dead is a cruel motivator. I gotta get out of here, I say. What I don't say is that I have to get out of here so that all this trouble will have been worth something. What about saving the rest of your guys, maybe? They're probably all dead. We are interrupted by a man's voice booming behind us. Just what the hell do you two think you're doing? The man roars. He's an older man who seems to exude power of authority, but he also looks tired and scared. I assume this is Barksdale. He walks over to us from the back recess of the chamber. We didn't have a choice, Amy responds. We had to. Did you override the locks on the hangar doors? Barksdale demands. Yeah, I did, but we had to. Do you have any idea what you could have done? Amy doesn't answer right away. She's furious, but she's also scared and visibly exhausted. Who's this asshole? I address my question to Amy, preferring to get my info from her rather than whoever the fuck this is. The man doesn't break eye contact with Amy. Colonel Barksdale. That's not Amy's voice. Colonel Barksdale. He runs the place, she says, annoyed. Look, Barksdale, she says. You can berate and lecture me all you want when this mess is over. But right now, I have a wounded civilian here, and you can see several entities trying to get into this room. So if you could actually do something, instead of sitting on your throne and yelling at me, that would be great. I'm impressed by your guts, and I wonder if there's some sort of beef between the two of them. Surely working in a place like this could cause some stress and tension between people. As we wait, I notice a small peephole in the door. I go to it and look out into the things. They're still looking for a way in, but finding no success. I wonder if they can sense or somehow see me through the doors. Flip them the bird! Yeah, I can't help myself. I hold up my middle finger to one and smile defiantly. I get a blast of high-pitched sound in response. Nice. "You'll be reprimanded for speaking to me in such a way," Barksdale says to Amy. "Reprimand me all you want. I'd like to survive this first." "Cover your ears," Barksdale shouts, walking away towards the far end of the room. "Stay put until you hear back from me." "All right, thank you," Amy says, with the fire in her voice. She then turns to me and says, "Better do what he says. Cover your ears." I clap my hands over my ears just in time to protect my hearing from the deafening blast. I can still feel my blood rushing out and wonder if this is what Dennis felt like at the beginning of all this. Before the sorrow of losing Dennis can consume me, something slaps against the wall of the room with tremendous force. I assume it's just another one of the monsters slithering along the wall, but when I turn back towards the door, I hear something surprising. More bursts of loud, explosive noises start ringing out. Looking through the peephole again, I see the core of one of the beasts explode. It vanishes in a puff of smoke and clear liquid. Looking to my left, I see Barksdale in a shooting stance at the far end of the room. He's firing through a small slit in the wall. He's using some high-powered weapon, the likes of which I'd never seen. I see, why didn't you use it earlier to save Dennis? I see a slight movement as the gun kicks, accompanied by a flicker of white light. Immediately, another monster is downed, its tentacles flailing around aimlessly as most of its core is torn through. I instantly feel gratitude and immense satisfaction in knowing that they are being picked off in such a way. Sit down and rest. I slide down against the door and simply wait, listening to the occasional patter of what I assume is their blood on the wall. I don't know how much time passes, maybe 5 seconds, maybe 15 minutes, and I don't care. It feels nice to lay down. When the firing is over, I barely notice it. Soon afterwards, Barksdale walks back over to our side of the room. "All right, they're all gone," says Barksdale, "and I've resealed the hangar doors." "How'd you kill them like that?" I asked. "Classified weapon, that. Quite frankly, you have no business being near." Amy gets to her feet and returns to the panel on the wall. "Thanks." "How badly is the civilian hurt?" Barksdale asks Amy, as if I'm not good enough to speak to. "It's a nasty cut," Amy answers. "If he gets some quick attention, he'll be okay." "Okay, I'll have Strickland get his med kit." "Strickland survived?" Amy asks, sounding cheerful. "Yeah, and until you and your friends showed up, I thought we were the only ones. Hang tight, she's on her way." With that said, he retreats away to the back of the room, as if he can't stand to be around us. Amy approaches me and looks me over. "You're in good hands. Strickland will be able to fix you up." "Well, is she a doctor or something?" "Sort of. She's also a physicist, but oddly enough, she spent time as a trauma nurse in the army." "Is Strickland a friend of yours?" I ask. Amy chuckles. Yeah, we've known each other for a while. The only woman in a sea of overachieving men." Barksdale sounds like a prick. "You must be glad Strickland survived. Let's keep it positive." "Like we did with Dennis." "No, Dennis." "I am. And we usually have lunch together," she said, "and she's helped me out of a few tight spots in my career." Within a few seconds, the door behind us opens, and a woman appears back further in the chamber. She enters the room with what looks like a small suitcase. She's dressed in a very basic and drab military getup, complete with a holstered sidearm. "My name is Connie Strickland," she says, getting straight to the point. "I can patch you up pretty good, but it's gonna hurt." I nod, honestly, not caring if it hurts. My God, I just want to get out of here. I just want to get home. "All right, sit down. Let me see if we can get your shirt off," Strickland says. I sit down slowly and start unbuttoning my shirt. She has to help me slip it off of my shoulders, but we manage. "How bad is it?" I ask. "Oh God, it's bad," she says. "It almost looks like a burn, but I've seen much worse." "I might as well talk to Strickland, if only to distract from the pain." "You're a scientist too?" Strickland rolls her eyes as she gathers up a needle and some thread. "I've always been into fringe science. I started in labs where these eccentric Russian scientists were being funded by the US to work on combining DNA types. You know they're doing that shit. You know they're doing some freaky ass shit with DNA and like the injection DNA and stuff, what CRISPR and stuff. Holy shit! I can only imagine the black sites and what kind of like horrible from their standpoint too, like mixture of like DNA of human and animal. That shit is happening. It has to be happening if they have the technology to do it. Oh God, poor people, man. I mean, they're not quite people, but still people. I sort of became obsessed with perfecting human physiology while I was a trauma nurse in the army. So you were a mad scientist then? I said. Yeah, I get that a lot, but no, not compared to the stuff we do here. Yeah, I don't even want to know. But I do. What kind of stuff? Tell me. It's complicated. Komar masses, quantum gravity, crunching things down into their Schwarzschild radiuses? I don't know what that's beyond me. Fun stuff. Yeah, a mad scientist, I say, trying to keep myself calm with dry humor. There's lots of small labs working on the same stuff, she argues. They just don't have our funding. When you guys ran in here, I was horrified. Those barrels outside, I'm not sure if you saw them. Well, if you'd shot them, it could have been bad. Why? I asked. The gray ones are filled with an experimental fuel that's highly flammable, and the yellow ones contain liquid nitrogen. Yeah, that would have been bad then. I'm glad we didn't do that then. What? Just laying around? I ask. Well, this area is the safest in the building and the most secure. Well, I mean, it used to be anyway. And take this, she says, handing me 4 pills. Painkillers. They won't work immediately, but they'll dull the worst of what you're feeling. Are those the best idea, I ask? Won't they make me dizzy or out of sorts or something? All I get in a response is an annoyed and determined look. Don't take. We'll deal with the pain. Really? I don't want to get lightheaded in case we have to move fast. I can handle it. Your call, Strickland says, as she starts working on me. She slathers the wound with some sort of liquid that stings like crazy, and I gasp. Grin and bear it, you bitch. Ready to stab me yet? I'm fine, I hiss. I wince as she dabs at my eye, swollen from where Marcus kicked me. I grit my teeth in pain and try to catch my breath. The anticipation is the worst part. I'm relieved to find that it doesn't hurt as much as I feared. I mean, it's no picnic for sure, but compared to the fire-like pain in my wound, it's bearable. So, you and Barksdale are the only survivors? Amy asks. It seems that way. Those that didn't disappear into thin air were killed by those things, Strickland says, nodding to the secured doors. No one else made it? Not that I've seen, Strickland says. If anyone else did make it, they're trapped out there with those things. Well, I'm glad to see you. When were you when it happened? Amy asked. I was in the microlab on level 2, Strickland replies. Parks and O'Brien were in there with me, and they just disappeared, I guess. It looks like they were being stretched and distorted, and then there was a ball of white light, and then they were just gone. The ball of light just annihilated everything it touched. Would it leave some perfectly round hole? I asked, the light bulb turning on in my head. We saw something up at the logging site. Yeah, that's probably the same phenomena, Strickland replies. Amy looked like a child afraid to ask an adult for something. Finally, she asked, where did they go? Well, we don't know, Strickland says. Could be an infinite number of different dimensions, or even some dimensions that merge and mix together. It could also be a place that exists between dimensions. Barksdale calls it the void. I call it dead. No, she said. We keep tabs on the heart rate, blood pressure, and breathing of all the other rats and human test subjects. Wherever they go for that time, they're still very much alive. Ooh, God. I wince through the rest of Strickland's stitching, feeling the tug of my skin, but thankfully, no more flowing blood. Finally, Strickland says, all right, you're good to go. I slide my shirt back on, aware of the thick pad of gauze that Strickland applied to my shoulder. So, have you and Barksdale been able to contain all those creatures? Amy asked. Strickland appears shocked, clearly not the reaction Amy was expecting. Contain? Are you nuts? Do you not know what's happening? Amy's eyes wide in fearful confusion. What do you mean? What's happening other than the initial experiment failure? The anomalies are becoming more numerous and further from the source, Strickland says. Casual humor in her voice was now gone. The anomalies. What anomalies? The doorways, she said. The pockets of exotic matter and negative energy that are letting those things in. The failed experiment caused the first one, but it set off a chain reaction. They're gaining momentum along geodesics, emanating from the facility. Okay, what the hell does that mean? I ask. It means, Amy chimes in, that those doorways and monsters are starting to appear all over the facility. Maybe even on the surface. Okay, not yet. Not yet, luckily, Strickland says. But the doorways will start appearing on the surface, and it won't stop there. The anomalies' reach could extend indefinitely as far as we know. Those entities will appear on the surface in other states, other countries. Holy shit, I say. You mean the world's going to be overrun? The horror of the past few hours has made me ready to believe anything. But this is almost too much. Unfortunately, yeah, Strickland says. My God, Amy said, stepping away. Isn't there anything we can do? Well, there is one last resort, Strickland says, her eyes darting over to Barksdale at the other side of the room. There's an emergency failsafe switch. What? Amy says. I've never heard about that. Where? You weren't cleared for it, Strickland replies. And that switch, Amy says, is a way to stop this. Yes, Strickland says, seemingly uneasy with the conversation. Okay, why haven't you hit the switch already? Well, there's two problems with hitting it, Strickland replies. The switch is our eraser. It destroys the entire facility and terminates any system or experiment that were being conducted. It's also an emergency shutdown for interdimensional travel. It puts an event horizon around the facility. What the hell is that? I ask, incredulous. It's a perimeter of a black hole, she replies. The boundary inside which nothing can escape, not even light. So the first problem is we'd all be killed, sucked into the black hole before we had time to evacuate. The second reason, Strickland whispers, suddenly quiet, is that Barksdale won't allow it. What? Amy gasps. Why not? He wants to allow those things to flood the surface. Millions will die. Strickland puts her hand up, silencing Amy. They both peer over to the far side of the room where Barksdale had his back turned. I know. He says he doesn't care. He says he'll be happy to be rid of the oversight so he can continue his work. The oversight? Amy almost screams, regaining control of her voice when Strickland gives her another look of warning. You mean our government? I ask. He's aware that this could disrupt or even topple the government, and he doesn't care? Strickland sighs. Barksdale is... well, he's off the range right now. He's gone rogue, and he's armed. This comment makes me look towards the handgun I brought in with me, and I'd nearly forgotten it in the last few moments. When Barksdale had his back turned, I take it in my hand and slide it behind me, just in time too, as Barksdale walks over from the back of the room to our side of the chamber. He gives Strickland a suspicious look before speaking to her. Is the civilian going to survive? He asked. Yes, he's all stitched up. He's good to go, Strickland replies. All right, that's great news. I'm sitting right here, I say sarcastically. You can actually speak to me, you know. Amy, it's quite nice to see that you've survived, he says. Where are the others? The aloof way this asshole is talking to us is getting under my skin. A guy named Marcus that works on the first level from IT, Amy says. That's all I know for sure. Marcus Papscott, Barksdale says. Where is he? We're not sure, I say. He was separated from us. Oh, Barksdale replies, clearly taken aback by my stern reply. That's unfortunate. Barksdale seems to think about something and then looks directly at me. You're with that logging crew, aren't you? Remind me, how'd you get in here again? We were searching for our crew. That makes sense. The cloaks for the entrance in the shed are tied to a primary source, Barksdale says. And we lost our primary power just before the experiment failed. Cloak, I say. Yeah, Strickland says. The shed you entered is usually not visible to the naked eye. Depending on the power sources that were damaged, Barksdale continues, could have also shut down the locking system before the backup kicked in. Everything was starting to make sense now. From the very start, it had seemed peculiar that we'd so easily been able to walk into a place like this. Where's the rest of our crew? That's what I want to know, but he's not going to know. What caused the experiment to fail? Your crew hit one of the main power lines. We aren't sure exactly how, but we know that's what did it. You're trying to blame this all on me, I roar. The timing was unfortunate, Barksdale says. Where's the rest of the crew? Your crew? Barksdale asks. Frank and Joe? No, they're gone. Gone? Gone where? I ask, my voice trembling. Hearing him speak the names of my crew enrages me. They were annihilated by the antimatter pockets created during the failure. A bright ball of light. In the aftermath, all you'd see was a round hole in the ground. Barksdale says this like he's sharing yesterday's sports scores. I let my face crumble into my hands. I had suspected this. All this time, they were already dead. So, what do we do now? Amy asks. Well, now it's time to continue our work, Barksdale says calmly, turning away to the instruments on the rear wall. We'll keep quiet for now. This guy sounds like a complete lunatic. But he's a lunatic that's accustomed to power and armed with some type of advanced weaponry. So I keep my intentions unspoken, assuming Barksdale is used to being unchallenged by the people he considers beneath him. He certainly seems like that type. I want to continue my work, Barksdale muses. Other researchers will eventually discover what we have here, sure. But I want it to be me. This is my laboratory. These are my experiments. This is the work that I led here. Will earn me my place in history. And quite frankly, I don't need to explain it to you. Up on the surface, they'll struggle to defend themselves since they won't know what they're dealing with. I have the necessary weapons. After a few months, who knows? Maybe I'll decide that the world is ready for me to help them. And we'll go from there. He turns his back on us as he says this, walking to the far side of the chamber, like we're some kind of a distraction. Amy takes this opportunity to whisper to us. We need to hit that switch, she says. It's our only option. What he's saying is murder. It's treason. No, it's genocide. She looks over to Strickland for support, trailing off, but Strickland looks to the ground, clearly torn. She won't look anyone in the eye and makes an effort to not look at Barksdale. He seems distracted with whatever instruments he's studying on the far side of the room. At this moment, I realize my body feels like a bomb went off inside of it. Maybe those painkillers wouldn't have been so bad. Strickland finally whispers a response. Even if we decide that we want to hit that switch, Barksdale won't allow us. You can figure something out, right? Maybe you guys could make a break for it, Strickland whispered. Where's the switch located? Amy asked. Well, there's an elevator out of the hangar, Strickland says. Take it down to the basement. The switch is at the end of a long tunnel. But Strickland never finishes. Two things happen at once as she speaks. Her mouth stops mid-sentence. First, a loud booming noise rings out, and then the top of her head seems to explode. Amy screams out in surprise and jumps back in shock as Strickland's body collapses beside me. Beside her fallen body, Barksdale is holding his experimental rifle, and now he's pointing it at us. What the fuck? What the fuck? I don't get it. Thanks, Strickland? I wonder if Barksdale is even crazier than Marcus. He just shot a woman that worked for him to keep her quiet. Surely he won't have an issue with killing me. Now, Barksdale yells. No more whispering. No secrets. You two will stay in here. And get away from that door. If anyone whispers one thing more, I'll blow your head off. My mind is racing to figure out a way we can get through the secured door into the hangar. Beyond that, of course, there was a failsafe switch. Make a distraction? I try my best to be a good actor. I wobble on my feet a little bit. I stop to start forward again, and then I wobble some more. Amy is apparently catching on because she is at my side in a second. She looks over at Barksdale and says, he's lost a lot of blood. Let me check his wounds real quick. After he dared talk to me like that? Come on, he's been through a lot, she argues. He's clearly delusional. You can check on him back here, Barksdale says. You have 30 seconds to get away from that door or I'll... I stretch out my acting skills and actually stumble to a knee. I make a show of trying to get to my feet, standing still for a moment. I'm okay, I say. I'm okay. I think as quickly as I can, I raise my gun and fire. I don't even take aim. I just fire into Barksdale's general direction. Barksdale takes off running as my shot misses wide. He runs for cover to the back of the room. That's all we need. Amy also fires a shot to keep him under cover as we head for the door. Amy pushes the button and the door swings open. Barksdale will be on us in a second, so we dash out of the hangar, ready to defend ourselves. Amy and I run as fast as we can through the rows of barrels. Barksdale comes charging out of the chamber almost immediately. He steps into the hangar floor and he starts shooting. Each shot sent a jolt of fear through me as I wait for the bullet to end my life. Oh, we need to get to that elevator on the far side of the room, Amy tells me. It leads down below to the switch. All right, let's sprint for the elevator. Maybe. Okay, she says, go. I take a few shots in Barksdale's direction, succeeding in getting him to take cover, and he pauses his stream of fire. We both make a run for it, knowing we only have seconds. Somehow I make it through the rows of barrels and get to the elevator's entrance. I turn back and allow Amy to enter first, but she isn't there. I look back to the barrels and see that she's fallen about halfway down the row. She doesn't appear to be hurt, but she is paralyzed with fear, sitting motionless as Barksdale peppers the area with gunfire. Run back and give her cover. I start to step out into the open and head back to Amy, but Barksdale gunfire pins me back into the elevator entrance with a loud bang. Apparently, he's reloaded that weapon of his. As the sparks fly inches from my face, I realize I have to help her from here. Then I remember the contents of the barrels. One color has highly flammable fuel. The other contains liquid nitrogen. I'm no scientist, but I'm pretty sure liquid nitrogen is mostly harmless unless you have direct contact. If one of those barrels gets shot, the liquid nitrogen spills out. I'm fairly positive it will simply evaporate. That could create cover of sorts for Amy, like a cloud of smoke. Ah, hell. But which of the barrels holds the liquid nitrogen Strickland told us about? It's the yellow one. But I can't remember. Yeah, no, yellow barrel. The yellow barrel. I'm fairly certain those have the liquid nitrogen in them. Without giving myself a single moment to second guess myself, I aim at one and pull the trigger. There's a pinging noise, followed by a hiss. A stream of liquid nitrogen spills out and begins to evaporate immediately. Amy looks around for a moment, clearly baffled, but then figures out what I've done. She hits the ground right away. For a moment, I lose sight of her in the cloud of mist. Behind us, Barksdale starts to fire, apparently not caring if he happens to hit one of the barrels with the fuel in it. Moments later, I see Amy's shape emerge from the mist. There's a terrifying second where she's out in the mist and exposed in space between the barrels and the protection offered by the elevator's interior. Barksdale gets off 2 shots, but the nitrogen mist has obscured his vision too much for him to get a proper aim. However, one of them nicks Amy's leg, sending her tumbling before she reaches the entryway of the elevator. I dash out and lift her up, and we both hobble over to the elevator behind the cover of the mist. Yeah, we're all scratched up to hell now. Oh, thanks. Thank God you remembered what barrel was which, she said. I reach out and press the call button to the elevator. We both step inside and close the doors. It's a service elevator made of wood and metal. Really? Something like from a coal mine. We step inside and the doors close. The motor of the elevator sound like dying dogs. As the elevator slides down, the light from the flames give way to complete blackness. What flames? What's on fire? I don't know. Okay, continue. I don't care what's on fire. Dennis! God damn it, Dennis. Fuck. I wish I shut off his hand. I lose track of how long the elevator descends. It's hard to tell due to the lack of lighting, but it must go another 500 feet underground. The elevator comes to a stop with a shuddering clang, and I waste no time exiting. A tunnel stretches out with sparse white bulbs lighting the way. Most of the wall is made of raw earth and rock. There are boards and concrete slathered in the area to reinforce the tunnel. I see a warning sign posted on the wall. I want to read it, but there's not much time. No, read the notice. Safety first. Warning, authorized personnel only beyond this point. Trespassers will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. Absolutely no exceptions. Well, glad I got that out of the way, now that everyone's dead. After only a few steps, the pain in my body intensifies. How stupid was I to turn down those painkillers? Fuck you, game. I look up, and when I see the tunnel ceiling is less than 6 inches over my head, Claustrophobia freezes me for a moment. The ceiling is not as high at all, and there's barely enough room for Amy and I to walk side by side, which is for the best because her leg is clearly causing her a great deal of pain. She's soaked in blood and hobbling along. I don't think I can go any further, she says, wincing, but trying to keep her composure. All right, just sit down. I'll be back. There's no sense in chancing further injury to your leg, I say. She nods and I help her down. She shudders in pain and she eases into a sitting position on the floor. Thanks. According to Strickland, the switch should be at the end of this hall, she says. I look up. When I see that the tunnel's ceiling is less than 6 inches over my head, claustrophobia freezes me for a second. Still, it's much better than facing the monsters above me. I wonder then, walking through the darkness, where they would come from. Is this portal still open? I hold the gun in one of my hands and feel my way along the wall with the other. The wall under my palm anchors me to reality, to sanity. I'm not in some boundless abyss, but still in the real world, for a little while longer at least. I realize that I'm marching to my end. As much as I wish I weren't, it's not surprising. From the moment I saw what those creatures could do to time and space, at least a part of me knew that death was inevitable. Before I had time to wonder whether my family really missed me, I see a light ahead. It's nothing more than a speck of blue light. But in the darkness of the tunnel, it's like a lighthouse on a stormy sea. I slog forward, my eyes straining to focus on the little light ahead. From somewhere ahead, I start to hear something that sounds like water. It's trickling, lightly, like a leaky faucet. And behind that, there's something that sounds like wind, a light breeze on an open field, and a voice. Anywhere else, that sound would have been pleasant, but here in the blackness of the tunnel, it's kind of menacing. Stay quiet. I don't make a sound, instead trying to make sense of what's going on around me. I cock my head, trying to concentrate, and then realize that I can see the tunnel wall now. This is odd. I wasn't able to see them a few seconds ago. This is different from the blue light at the end of the tunnel. It's then that I see a slight shimmering in the air. It looks like a foggy mirror steamed over in a shower. And it's moving, dancing in the air like some abstract firefly. It's not menacing like the creatures, so that threat is null. I mean, it's peaceful. It's serene. I watch as this shimmer branches out and becomes 2, and then 3, and then 4. They snake out in different directions, tracing the tunnel walls. Are these shimmers doors to other dimensions that Strickland was talking about? Suddenly, I'm surrounded by light above and below me and realize there's no avoiding it. The question is, how am I going through? Going head first? I don't know. I stick my head through and feel a tingling sensation. It's almost pleasant. I reach out slowly, my hand stretching out to one of those shimmers of what I can only assume are some kind of light. They're hypnotizing. So much so that I didn't realize that the tunnel walls are vanishing. I feel something like wind, and a brief electrical pulse passes through me as the lights take me. There is then a very gentle pushing sensation, and I somehow know that I'm being expelled. I have passed through something. Maybe the lights, maybe the tunnel walls, I don't know. But the shimmering light fades a bit, still dancing in the air, but no longer large and branching out. And as my eyes adjust, I see right away that I'm no longer standing in a dark tunnel far beneath the hangar. I have no idea where I am. I'm just somewhere else, and I'm terrified. The ground I land on looks like hot coals. There are dips and many cliffs breaking the landscape ahead of me. There's a wash of orange and blue overhead, in a sky that makes no sense. It's both beautiful and terrifying at once. A scattering of stars hangs overhead. They all seem to be breathing, pulsating with gentle energy, as if alive. I can't tell if there's clouds in the sky because everything about it, from the colors to the trembling horizon, seems to be amorphous. Everything is knitted together, living. I stare a moment longer, and I swear I can feel the sky breathing. Far off to my right, I see what looks to be a plume of fire, small yet bright, with no source of fuel. It looks as if the ground itself is creating the flame. Several more of these flames dot the landscape further out. The air is thick and muggy, and then I realize something horrible. I don't know if what I'm breathing here resembles air at all. In a place like this, one impossible beauty, but also very stark horror, my mind doesn't know what to do. A wave of nausea comes over me, and I think I might be sick. I'm not sure if it would be better to fight it or give in. The white light that brought me here is nowhere to be found. Is anyone else even here? Is there any way to escape? Look around the area? Just go back the way you came, man. Go back the way you came. I continue to look out at this nightmarish landscape and see a few other unexplainable oddities. There are billowing flames in the distance, not like a volcano or explosions, just some kind of slow heat crawling upwards that defies reality. This analogy seems more fitting when I see a thin-veined root of the fire twisting into the ground and then darting back out in all directions. I get that sick feeling again in my gut, and I realize my mind just needs something to focus on. It's then that I hear a voice. It's faint and distant. I turn and hear it coming out of one of the massive crevices along the ground. Inside of that crack, about 10 feet down, a very pale man lies on a ledge. He's human, but he also looks close to death. Dennis? No, Dennis is dead. He is in the center of a large pool of blood, and his left leg has been twisted and torn in an unnatural way. As I walk to the ledge, he looks up and sees me. "Help me, please," the man says. His eyes are wide. Although everything about him speaks weakness, he's close to death, or insanity, or both. "Who are you?" "I'm Dr. Kana." He strains to get out. "I work in the facility. Please help." I want to know more, but it seems cruel to steal what looks like his last breaths just to answer my question. I'd love to, but I don't know where the hell I am or how to get back home, I say. "The light," he responds. "It's a doorway. It might take you back to the facility." "Where did it go?" "They come and go. They'll be back. Now please help me." I desperately want to help, but there's no way I can reach him. His ledge is too far away, above the pools of fire. "I don't think I can help you," I say. "No, that's not what I mean." His eyes are on the handgun that I almost forget that I'm still holding. I realize what he wants, and I shake my head. I can't do that." "Please," he pleads. "Those things, they have others that come here with me. I got dropped along the way. They'll be back. They'll be back and they'll kill me. That," he says, again indicating the gun, "will be quicker, less painful." "I can't," I repeat. "Please. Look at my damn leg. I'm dead anyway." I'm about to refuse him again when I hear an all too familiar static sound from out of another crevice behind him. I hear another of those shrill noises, and then I watch as one of those monsters materializes up out of the neighboring crevice. 2 more come after it, and then a third, then 5, then 10. Soon I lose count. What was just a few turns into a flood. And I suddenly understand the man's reasoning. A bullet would be a mercy. I check the gun to see I only have 1 round left. I can use it on this guy, but I may need it for myself later. From beside me, the man pleads again. "My God," he says, a waver of lunacy in his voice. "Please." I look back at the man and wince. I know it's the right thing to do, but my finger resists. With a roar of disgust, I level the gun towards his head, turn my eyes away, and then pull the trigger. "Your aim is true. Your aim is false. You shoot the man in the knee. He screams in pain." The creatures come even quicker. The man crumples lifelessly to the ground. And that's when I see the shimmering wave to my right, in the direction I originally came from. I look back to the monsters and see that they have now noticed me. Some of them begin floating up the walls of the crevice. There are less than 10 feet separating us. The shimmers of white light ahead, within arm's reach. Its movements, reminding me of a fish in an aquarium. I reach out and feel myself accepted by them again. I feel the sensation of wind and wait for the feeling to be pushed out, back into the tunnel in the facility. But it doesn't come this time. This time I feel something else. I feel a tugging sensation that wants to drag me in all directions at once. As the world goes dark, I realize I'm somewhere else. And it's not the darkness of the tunnel. This is the darkness of a total void. There's darkness around me everywhere. Nothingness. I feel nothing under my feet, nothing to my sides. I can't touch or sense anything at all. I don't even know which way is up or down. It's as though I'm all that exists. And as I remain there, I just hear silence. Not even the sound of my heartbeat. The blackness is so deep that I feel I can't distinguish between my thoughts and what's real. I hear screaming, but I can't tell if it's someone else or my mind screaming to fill this void. I try to kick and move my arms. It's not working. But it's not clear in what way it's not working. Are my limbs not moving? Or have they gone numb? It's impossible to tell. My body has just become absent of all sensation. I assume this is the place that Strickland referred to. The place between dimensions. This darkness could consume me if it wanted to. I try to will myself out of it, to have those shimmering lights spit me out, but it isn't happening. At this point, my mind starts to hallucinate, or at least I think it does. Are they visions? My mind playing tricks on me? I can't tell. All I can do is watch. I see the logging site. There's images of Tony's lifeless body after I pulled it from under the dozer. I see myself talking to Dennis, and he looks distraught as I tell him that Tony's gone. Then the scene rearranges itself, and I'm standing between Dennis and Marcus's gun. It changes again, and the shape of Marcus lies on the ground, still hell-bent on revenge even after I let him live. In my mind, I'm sobbing as I watch Dennis get torn apart by those monsters all over again, and I just stood by and watched. Thanks, game. And I'm calmed a bit as I watch myself shoot the right barrel and help Amy to safety. And just when I feel like I can't take any more of this, I see a man in that strange world, begging for death. I watch as I take his life just before those beasts reached him. All of these things are flooding in my mind, and it feels like my brain is vomiting. Yet, in the midst of it all, I see what's really important. The switch. In my mind's eye, I see the glowing light in the tunnel, the one far ahead, small and distant. I focus my mind on the tunnel and the image of the flickering light. With a mental effort so strong that it is nearly a physical motion, I make myself envision that little light in the tunnel as if it were right there in front of me. With that, I feel the wind again. A light breeze seems to come from everywhere. And then with a relief that I can only imagine feels like death, I move forward. I'm ejected from the void, and I'm suddenly standing in the tunnel again. I let out a wail of triumph that turns into a bout of weeping. The weeping only intensifies when I see the light up ahead, a flickering blue light. Somewhere behind me, I hear crackling noises. I think of Amy down that way by the elevator. Have they reached her? Oh, there's no way I can find out. For now, I have to keep up with my plan. Besides, if it works, we're all gone anyway. I feel like I can listen and get a better read on where they are, or I can just make a break for it. Just run for the blue light. I don't even bother looking back. There's no time. Instead, I run with all my might straight ahead and focus on that little blue light ahead of me. As I run, I see a different light, a white one, flickering in my peripheral vision. It's another one of those shimmers that go into other worlds. It seems that they're appearing and disappearing with more frequency now. I guess that's an exit strategy. We could get out that way. Strickland was right. Those things could reach the surface soon, unleashing more monsters. This thought made me refocus on that blue light, the man-made light, the switch. The blue light gets closer, and as it does, I can make out a square shape about it. This has to be it. The familiar static scream of the monsters is much closer now. I have to be quick. I grip the gun tightly, regretting my decision to use the last bullet on the man in the other world. Looks like all I'll be using this for is a bludgeon. I run ahead into darkness, my eyes locked on the switch that I assume is going to kill not only the creatures, but myself as well. As I approach, I see the lever. It's covered by a glass box that I'll need to break. The blue light is directly beneath this, highlighting a series of tubes and wires that snake out into the inner workings of the device. In the middle is blackness, not like a darkly colored part of the machine, but just a hole in reality. It looks like some sort of illusion. Oh, it's the black hole? Oh, they already have the black hole made. It just expands. Okay. All the while, I can hear the static of the creatures coming dangerously close now. I have no idea how much time I have. Smash the glass. I draw back the stock of the gun and smash through the glass box that houses the lever. The glass shattering is like music to my ears. I reach out for the lever, my hand grasping it. Without warning, I fear immense pain course through my body. Feels like fire racing down my back, causing me to fall to one knee in agony. There's only one of them. I can see it. It blasts horrible static noises at me as I ready my gun. With no bullets left, I get ready to use it as a club. I try to strike. The monster bats the gun away, warping it into a S shape, and then follows up by swiping its appendage at me. The sting of its touch forces me back against the side of the cavern, my face striking the wall hard. My jaw crunches, and I feel a sharp pain encompass my head. Then the creature is upon me again. Its tentacles melt into me as I scream. I can't help it. I sound like a wild animal. I can try to keep fending them off, or I can go for broke and just focus on the lever. Creatures be damned. This is the choice that we have to make, man. Yeah, we're all dead anyway. I wonder what the other endings are like. Like, if you get a different choice of, like, maybe you can, like... Well, I don't know. They said the only way is just pull the switch, so I have no idea. Yeah, I don't know. This is our path, though. I put all my strength into my legs. The moment the monster is in front of me, draws back its eel-like arms to grab me, I pivot backwards. My back strikes the machine, sending agony rocketing through my body. I'm so thankful I broke the glass before this moment, before the coming violence. I stretched out and grabbed the lever. With one last desperate scream that shreds my voice, I jam it down. The tunnel is suddenly filled with a flash of intense darkness. It expands from the switch, swallowing the matter around it. At first, I'm sure this is the end of me. I expected the darkness to consume me, followed by my death. But then another shimmer of dancing white light appears next to me. There's no more streams of light ripping in space like the ones previously sent to me by that other ungodly world in the void. With nothing else but to die, I try to escape into the shimmer. When that stream of light envelops me, the expanding darkness of the switch is gone, and I feel a huge push. Whoa! Nebula. Galaxy. My body feels stretched, collapsing, like I'm falling in all directions at once. The world goes white, and then there are pinpoints of stars everywhere. One of them breezes directly by my right, and I see something that looks like a spherical galaxy distorted in its folds. To my right, I see an endless stretch of stars and gas clouds, forming some galactic architecture. But beyond the immeasurable beauty, I notice something. I'm seeing the same star pattern over and over again. They are repeating like reflections in an endless mirror. Are these different versions of the same galaxy? The same reality? To my left, I see a calm blue world and can barely make out trees, familiar, Kentucky trees, that I have been around for the last few weeks. To my right, I see a canopy, an orange world. There are trees there as well, but something strange, disturbing. As I zoom by, I'm not sure how much control I have in this unusual place, but if I can direct myself, it's worth a try. Let's go to the orange world. Fuck it. I try to focus my mind on heading towards the orange world, not knowing what to expect. We're dead anyway, so might as well explore a little bit. My breath escapes from me for a moment. Everything is dark and peaceful, and nothing hurts. Wait, what? This is Orange World? With breath back inside my body, I gasp and open my eyes. I'm back. I'm back at the logging site. How? I'm not sure. Did the shimmer react with the implosion of the switch? Some other accident? I have no idea. I sit up right away and become instantly dizzy. Amy? I say. I have no reason to think that she survived whatever happened in the tunnel, but there's some sort of certainty that gets me to my feet. I start to wonder if I'm somehow back in time before we found the facility. But what happens next makes me realize that can't be true. As I start walking forward, I feel a tremor in the ground. Somewhere off in the distance, I hear a metallic groan. The buried facility. It's being ripped apart under the ground by an activation of the switch. Trees are splintering and falling to the east, and I can see them toppling just like dominoes. There's no way Barksdale and Marcus survived. Good riddance. I start to walk away in the opposite direction of the falling trees. But then I hear a scream, a woman's scream. I turn back and see a stumbling figure come out of the forest. It's Amy. Oh, she looks like a ghost. How is she here? Did she fall into one of the shimmers as well? I decide I don't care and run to her. I throw my arms under her armpits and hook her up as we head back to the logging site. Are you okay? I ask. Amy can only nod through her tears. I look to the area where the facility tore the wood apart and see a large plume of smoke rising into the air. We made it out of the facility alive, and that, I suppose, is the most important thing. But something feels off in a way that I can't quite explain. It's then that I look up and notice the sky, and it starts to sink in. It's orange. Orange. Yes. Different dimension. There's something different about it. Something not right. The sky doesn't belong here. It's a sky of orange and blues. Stars pulse in and out as if alive. The color of the sky seems to breathe, as if they're trying to inhale the tops of the spruce trees. I see those colors, all knitted together and living. My stomach rolls, and a scream of confusion and fear rises up in my throat. What the hell have I done? Oh, that's a bad end! No! That's the end? No! But Amy's there. Maybe in this dimension, Dennis is alive. Oh, that was kind of a lackluster ending. Oh no. I'm going to look up endings. I have to look up endings. Tough it out. You and 64% players didn't take the painkillers. That's good. Shot the right barrel, keeping Amy alive. So that's how you keep Amy alive. Mercifully killed the man who asked for death. Oh God, only 30%. 17 players headed towards the 17%. All right. Time to look it up. We're going to use somebody else's video so we can see a good ending, please. That was fantastic. I love this visual novel. It was so good. Yeah, this thing was, so good. Can't believe I missed it way back when. It's a whole lot of reading, but very good reading. Yeah, I very much enjoyed that. All right, let's hit YouTube, see what we can find. Okay, let's head off to the blue world through YouTube. I don't know if you made all the same choices I did or not, though. So we'll have to see. With a breath back inside my body, I gasp and open my eyes. I'm back at the longing site. How? I'm not sure. Did the shimmer react with the explosion of the switch? Another accident? I have no idea. I sit up right away and become dizzy. Amy, I said. Yeah, this is all the same. I hear a scream, a woman's scream. I turn back, a stumbling figure comes out of the forest. It's Amy. She looks like a ghost. It's then that I look up and notice the sky. The sky is beautiful and familiar, unobstructed by the trees that have been standing several minutes ago. I take my trusty hard hat off my head and exhale. We had that on the whole time, letting my body relax. It's finally over. I'm not sure how long it'll take to get me back to some semblance of life. But I know one thing for sure. Any day above ground is going to be a good day. The end. All right. Cool. I loved it. Yeah. Fantastic visual novel. Man, Visual Novel Fest keeps giving. I've been happy with all of them so far. Yeah, they've all been fantastic. We still have 2 more days. I know this is a really long video. Thank you for those of you who are still here for watching all the way through. You're probably asleep right now. Night. All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Lone, and this has been buried.